What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fights. My name is Thinker St. James, and tonight we are going over each and every fight from UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley, taking a look at UFC Fight Night Hill versus Roundtree Jr. And to do all of that with me, as always, my co-host, my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, and a man who potentially has better takedown defense than Joaquin Buckley, Chase Parton. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm actually up here living in the stratosphere after a card like this because this one was definitely pretty fun. But, that's all I'll say right now. I'll let you actually carry on for a second before I let loose on this fucking.
Yeah. I might possibly disagree with that assessment of this card, but we are going to be going over each and every fight from the card, UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley. If you are new to the show, we are going to be doing just that. So if you have anything that you want to talk about that does not pertain to the fights that we are talking about at the time, throw it in the chat. Remind us a little bit later on in the stream. We'll come back to it. But to start this thing off, UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley took place at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. And you said you thought that this was a fun one, Chase. Is that what you're sticking with?
You know what's crazy is I think why this was a good one for me is because at the beginning of the card, I'm looking at DraftKings and I'm looking at the numbers, and we'll obviously talk about some of these numbers that were on this book, and I just didn't feel it. So I just wanted to go into this card and have a good time, and I think I was very pleased with the product, and I think this is a very a good thing that you guys should know. When you're not gambling, you can have a stress-free environment and just enjoy fights. So if you are having a time out there and you're stressing watching these goddamn fights week after week, I'm telling you, it's a nice step back when you just don't gamble and you just watch the fights, because there are some on here, and we'll get into them, that are just very exciting for the surprise factor of what happens.
Sure. Well, no shortage of surprising things on this card, most definitely. And I agree. I mean, it is very nice to just be able to sit back, watch, and not have the stress of your parlays being on the line. That's what I always do for the Contender Series. I go into it completely blind. I try to not research the fighters. I don't really want to know too much ahead of time, and I just watch the event as a fan, fresh eyes kind of thing, and that is always very enjoyable. So congratulations for making that choice for this card, because I did not and lost a lot of money. But either way, it's okay. We're not going to stress about that. But there were a couple of things that were a little odd to me with this one. I mean, first of all, I did not think that this was a tremendously overall quality card. That is just off the bat. But I thought that it was a little bit crazy that this thing started at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was like, man, 4:30 p.m. prelims. I missed the apex a little bit with that, but because it was like with a card like this, we were still having to stay up until like 1:30 a.m. to finish it. You know what I mean?
You are actually about to lead into a great point that I was probably going to make later. But as of
Mm-hmm.
right now, you don't understand how fast this show moved. I know it started at 7 and ended at 1:30. But the pacing was phenomenal this week. I can't tell you, whoever was on the switchboard telling them to go, 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 whoever was doing all that shit, that was phenomenal. Every commercial break damn near you came back and they were in the cage ready to go. So uh,
Well, they must have known that the quality of some of these fights was going to make it feel like it was a million years long. So, um, but no, I mean, either way, that fair enough. Then I never felt like it was like dragging as far as the pacing of the overall event.
No, it
Yeah.
did start to drag. I mean, towards the end, I was definitely ready for the co-main and the main to get underway because, like you said, it did still end around 1:30. But if they would have just started it a little sooner, this would have been perfect because, man, I'm telling you, they were cooking the promos, they were cooking the people getting out to the cage. They weren't dilly-dallying, and I really respected that this week. There was
True.
even times where I was like, wow, they're out to the fucking cage again. Like they are really giving it to us this time. Felt like
True.
Contender Series vibes.
Yeah, got you, got you. Fair enough. One thing I did want to address very briefly, and I don't know if this was just for me and the region that I'm in, because for every person who tunes in through ESPN Plus, they get different feeds as far as like advertising goes. But for me, there was a lot of times, on ESPN Plus, they have that commercial break screen that's like a placeholder for advertising. It was that throughout most of this broadcast for me. And I was wondering, did they just not sell advertising for this event on ESPN Plus, or like why was that? Because it generally there's ads there, but there was not this time.
I will agree with you, and I think we have just maybe said two things that are bridging into each other. They probably did not have a time slot that is similar to something if they did have paid advertised commercial breaks, so they could speed run through the show somehow. I don't know how they did it, but you know,
I
that's
mean, it
what it
just
seemed
seems
like.
well, it just seems strange to me that you'd have a UFC event, even because the reason I bring this up more than anything else is because we all know that the ESPN deal with the UFC is lapsing at the end of this year, and there's a lot of speculation as to where the organization is going to take the product. So it just seems very strange to me that we've been hearing that ESPN has been taking certain events off of the backlog of the VODs. We've been hearing that the conversations between the two organizations have not been so great, and now we're seeing a full-on event almost where it just didn't seem like they sold ads, and that's just all of that together. It kind of is strange to me.
So you really wanted to tee me up for this. Don't sit here and say that we've been hearing that they've been taking fights off the catalog. You can go on ESPN right goddamn now. You'll type in Joshua Van. You know what fight they'll show you? The one that just happened 2 weeks ago. He's had fucking 5 in the fucking organization. And one was at the biggest grand stage of the UFC, quote unquote, the greatest experience that they could bring to you to date. And he performed and won on that in one of the greatest matchups that you could probably ever get at flyweight right now. So I just would like you to understand that the ESPN Plus deal, whatever you guys got cooking up, whatever you got going, I don't give a shit. I just get Josh Van back on my screen. I just want to watch the kid. There's people out there. I know them. They're on YouTube looking for him. They're like, you need to get your boy on something where it is accessible. I'm tired of it.
Right. So, whatever I mean, there's your confirmation that that's the case, first of all. And second of all, whatever the relationship is like between the two, it would be nice if it gets sorted quicker than later. Obviously, they have to wait till the end of the contract. So that's really not gonna necessarily happen. But it would be nice to know what the next move is and get ourselves ready to make the transition to something better, because myself and I'm sure many other people have always felt that ESPN is a subpar streaming outlet in general, and it's going to be nice, hopefully, at least, fingers crossed, the devil, it might be the safer, but I'm willing to take that gamble. It will be nice to see it on a different platform that hopefully gives the fans a better experience.
You're gonna be saying that when they're on Netflix. You're gonna be happy as shit.
I'm gonna
And
have
you're
to
gonna have to
re
pay for that fucking check. Dude, you
Man,
don't even know.
dude, I've been holding out. I was so proud of myself for getting my money back after that Tyson Paul bullshit, and
It'll
now it's like,
say it'll say UFC on Netflix, and it'll be an extra $15 pass each month. Watch.
oh, I'm with that. Hey, that's fine. Dude, I am completely okay with paying a little bit extra or having a pay structure that makes sense. If they go away from the pay-per-view model, I would be ecstatic. I think everybody would be, and I think it would be a floodgate opening for fans of the sport, because one of the major barriers to entry to being a fan is having to pay for pay-per-views and having to, go find it elsewhere for the people who do that and all that kind of stuff. It makes it very difficult to consume. So yeah, I'd be completely okay with that, if as long as the quality of the streaming experience is okay and serviceable, giving you the fights as they're intended and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. They could have UFC on Netflix and right underneath, haha, welcome back, Thinker St. James, and I will gladly hand over all of my money.
That is pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming for it. But we will go ahead and get into this card because man, we got a lot to talk about. So
Indeed,
we'll
yes.
spare some time here.
For sure, yeah. Enough about the overall overarching points. Let's get into the card itself. UFC Fight Night, Usman versus Buckley. As I said, State Farm Arena, Atlanta, Georgia. Starting this thing off was Jamie Lynn Horth, which she has another piece of the last name now too. I believe. I think that she, I guess, hyphenated with her wife. So it's Jamie Lynn Horth dash something that starts
Something.
with a W, I believe.
You didn't
But
get this in the notes, you mother frick.
sorry. Yeah, no, this one slipped by. I thought they would have it on ESPN, but again, the quality of ESPN when it comes to fights, right? But either way, Jamie Lynn Horth versus Vanessa Demopoulos. What did you think of this fight, Chase?
This fight here, well, it actually played out exactly as I expected because in our minds, of course, Vanessa's a warrior. She's going to continue to fight. She's not really going to ever give up. Although, if Jamie Lynn Horth had no mercy. She would have brutalized her in that first round and got her up out of there. Thankfully, she didn't. If I was a betting man, I would have went decision, and I would have been shitting my fucking pants around there because she was beating the hell out of her. Vanessa somehow was able to continue fighting. She looked like shit. I'll give you guys that. Like, she did not look great in this. I used to think she was actually halfway decent, and she is an Ohio girl, so I'm not trying to rag on her too much. But spade is a spade. She just did not have she just did not have the day. Jamie
Yeah.
Lynn was putting it on her.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely that, and also, I mean, it really is kind of unfortunate in both directions because Horth looked tremendous in this fight compared to some of her earlier fights. I thought, so. I mean, I guess it's not worse in both ways, but it's worse for Vanessa, as far as like how she looked comparatively.
I don't know what you've been seeing actually, because I think Jamie Lynn Horth has been pretty solid. This fight, unfortunately, all it did was solidify how little of a killer instinct she has. Like, she's one of those people that'll go to the post fight and say, like, oh, she's a family girl, I didn't want to hurt her, type shit like that.
Mm.
She didn't have like the instinct to go after the kill. She put Vanessa on the mat. Basically, I don't know, but it might have been a knockdown. I remember something happening that was pretty
Yeah,
crucial, but
staggered her, but yeah, I mean, I know what you're talking. That was in the
she,
first round.
yeah, she could have went and brutalized her, but she didn't. So Jamie Lynn Horth is huge for the division. Also to note, Vanessa was stepping up a weight class, which is
Correct.
horrible for somebody who's 5'2".
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
already at a disadvantage in any weight class you're going to be at. So that was to note. And then, yeah, Jamie Lynn, she's very tall. She's very athletic. She's super strong with her punches and super technical, but just no kill switch. Like, that's literally all that I can notice. She just was not ready to go put her face in the canvas.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can see that for sure. I don't know. I think that maybe, and perhaps it was the opponent that she had this time, or I don't know what the real difference was, but it just looked like she was putting more power on her shots, Horth. So I mean, that's I think why she looked a lot better, and she was just landing a hell of a lot too. So again, I think it might have a lot to do with Vanessa just not moving her head very much. But I think that the real issue, and this is what I brought up on the last episode of the show, is that this was Vanessa's chance. Now, granted, again, like you said, going up a weight, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but this was her chance to show that she had an opponent on that was going to keep it on the feet for the most part. And I had said that if she could not out tough her opponent in this type of a fight, then she's probably not the caliber of this organization. What?
You're not understanding what the possibilities are for somebody like Vanessa Demopoulos now for taking a short notice up a weight class off the couch, getting your ass whooped for a 3-round, opening fight. She's in Dana White's, good book now. She's gonna stay around. If she somehow gets a win. I mean, the last one I thought was gonna be an easy win for her, and she got unexpectedly mopped by somebody who's not necessarily that good. This one, she got mopped by somebody who I thought was decent, and this is a short notice bout that you obviously wanna if you want to get your name back in good grace, you want to take a fight that's above the person that you lost to previously. If you're able to manage that, not everybody gets that because they got to take a scheduled bout. Vanessa Demopoulos obviously saw this opportunity, and she did not win, of course. But I think stock was at least raised in Dana's eyes. Like, okay, she's somebody that I can count on. At least for one more.
Well, yeah, and that might be the case, but I mean, the weight being what it was, I think that if her technicality was sharper, it could have been a different situation in general, but it wasn't. If Vanessa can't make the weight down a class, she can't hang on the ground at all, and if she's getting pieced up on the feet, then I mean, what is there left? As far as value of the fighter besides being game, and I mean, she might still get a couple of fights that way, but as far as like backing that horse, I'd be very concerned.
She'll go back down. She'll go back down to her actual weight class, and she'll get a bout where it's probably an easy win for her, but that's at least what I'm hoping. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought that there was, like I said, Horth making some decent improvements as fight over fight. Again, the power looked like it was there. The accuracy was definitely there. The output was also there. And Vanessa just not having a lot of answers on the feet was very concerning because we saw in her last fight, her off of her back, really not doing very much. She did it this fight too. Vanessa does this leg defense move every time she's on her back, where she gets her legs all the way behind her head, which is great to show off her flexibility and, nice to look at for the fans, but does absolutely nothing for her as far as the fight is concerned. And it just like time and time again, you just see her folded up like a wonton, and it's like, oh, this is such a bad visual as far as like optics go in this sport. You're just like you're
There
you're
was
you're, you're
a
pretzeled down there.
there was a tweet, and it was a screenshot of her in the position that you're talking about. Actually, it was more this one that they had this picture of was her the spread eagle basically, and they were like
Right.
Vanessa Demopoulos once again showing us that she used to be a stripper, and it was like, dude, like, oh my goodness,
I mean,
yeah, she goes full spread eagle very often. She gets in very sexual positions. I mean, as a fan, I am a fan. I'm just saying, but
yeah, well, and everybody likes to see her do the splits at the weigh-ins. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like all of these elements. They're
she
again,
gonna come back for that reason. Look, Eileen can shake her ass and get fucking whatever she wants. Vanessa Demopoulos, I think if you start getting a little risque, you might get a little further than where you are right now. And I'm obviously joking, but
I know, I hear you. I mean,
um,
yeah, it's just to me, it's just unfortunate because I think that Vanessa is a tough opponent. I mean, like
yeah,
I think that she's like really one of those like game fighters. She does want to go out there and advance and push forward and throw and strike and stuff, but it's just like up a weight with. I mean, you saw how much taller Horth
every
was too.
disadvantage in the book. I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
height, weight, reach, whatever you want to say. Like, but she is one of those fighters that you can't necessarily not count her out because I don't think she's ever just going to come back and get a finish or something like that. But she's somebody that is like destined to just go to the belt. Like you're never going to just have somebody that can just. I mean, Jamie Lynn Horth could have, again brutalized her, but I don't think we're going to see Vanessa get flatlined kind of deal. Women just don't normally have that ability, and Vanessa's not somebody that I think can like go down that easy. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, unless she goes up against somebody who actually has that dog in her, you know.
Well, I mean, listen, if Jamie Lynn Horth ain't it for this division right now, I mean, we're gonna have to wait for another round of prospects. Contender series, come on up, because Jamie Lynn Horth, I thought, too, when she was coming into this fight, especially with the original bout, I was thinking, ooh, that's definitely a win for Jamie, and then pull out, step up on short notice. I'm like, yeah. Unfortunately, this is the first fight that you just could not bet because minus 700 on Jamie Lynn Horth. Are you fucking kidding me, guys? Like, why would I ever and I would be the person to bet decision because like I'm in the mindset like, okay, women normally go to decision. Let's just go for the safe bet. And I got Mank, Mank MMA Elite. Shout out to Discord, and he's over here telling me I'm feeling it. You got to go for the KO. And at the end of the first round, I'm like, dude, he fucking knows. He's a fucking genius. But then unfortunately, like I said, she just don't have that next level where she can go fucking just ape shit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it wasn't tapping into something
Yeah.
deeper.
Well,
Yeah.
she just, and listen, you hear sometimes about the Canadian guys, and sometimes they are just a little. I think she was a little too nice here. Sometimes you got to get a little mean, man. Bring the, I'm in Zahabi got a little mean that night. I think you got
Yeah.
to bring that type of shit. So,
Recognizing when you have a compromised opponent and capitalizing on it
yeah,
is certainly a note that's going to come back around a little bit later in this review. So,
yeah. Well, shit.
we'll
Fucking
talk
next
about it. But
fight, we'll talk about that shit.
yeah, right, that too. But yeah, the only last thing that I had for the fight that we're talking about here was that I thought it was funny that Vanessa in the third round pulled the Hulk Hogan ear cupping to the crowd, just to like try to gain a little bit of support. I was like, lol, no amount of support is going to save you by midway through round 3 at this point. Yeah, she really
Yeah.
was. She pulled one of those. So hey, credit to her. She's a little bit of a show woman. I can respect the showmanship of it, but I just don't see much good in the future for her. Definitely not at this weight. And I mean, going forward, like she's going to need a very favorable matchup to get her back in the win column. And I'm always going to remember this little stretch that she's been on because I think it's very telling, even if she does rack up a couple more wins.
I think what's unfortunate is going forward. I mean, like I said, yes, she should be in Dana's good light, at least for one more go around, because she did fill in on short notice. She saved the day, quote unquote. Excuse me, geez. I think unfortunate for Vanessa, she is at one of those unique positions in the sport where you have somebody who's, when it comes to the disadvantages. You know, you got to have a unique skill set that is able to overcome those disadvantages. You know, you're going to have to be able to overcome the height, so you have to get inside, or you're going to have to be able to grapple and get them down to the mat and even the playing field. You know, whatever you want to say. I don't think Vanessa necessarily has the skills to pull that off against many opponents. Like, she's gonna have to have literally somebody who's 5'2" and 125 pounds. You know, like, I don't know. So
Yeah,
whatever.
well, she could still get head kicked by Dr. Sleep, you know?
Yeah, that hey, listen, we'll talk about that when it comes. So either way.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so I mean, very nice win for Jamie Lynn Horth. She was really checking all the boxes with this performance, in my opinion. Good movement, really nice striking selection, and great negation of the attacks that Vanessa was putting on. So shout out to her, you know?
Just make sure you put her down for a decision next time.
There you go. Yeah, that is absolutely the takeaway. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Phil Rowe versus Ange Losa. I did want to mention just before we get into the fight that on the promo video, Phil Rowe had a high top fade, and he had the sharpest divot in his high top fade that I have ever seen. It's like it went up and, tops off at the top, and then there's just a little part that just went like that, and it just cut out perfectly. I was like, man, shout out to Phil Rowe's barber, because he's a hometown boy. Like, he's local to me. I got to find out
You got to
who.
go shake his hand.
Yeah, I really want to let that guy know that, like, bro, you did a really nice job with that divot, because that thing was like a 90-degree angle, perfect. So anyway, what'd you think of this fight?
I actually think this is not the first time on the card that we'll talk about pictures that don't necessarily, or the video promo don't line up to what we see in the cage. But either way,
Sure.
this fight here, oh brother, for 2 rounds, this went exactly how we thought it was going to go. This was absolutely drawn in the fucking playbook for Angelos to fucking go out here and wrestle fuck this dude. And let me actually make a note to start off. Phil Rowe is fucking ginormous.
He's massive.
I don't know if it's just because Angelos is just basically Torres Finney, but dude, Phil Rowe is huge. But he was definitely getting worked over for the first 2 rounds with the wrestling. And credit to him, he did not get frustrated. He did not let it, affect him coming into the 3rd round, because holy shit. Talk about one of the craziest comebacks. I'm not going to lie. Like, this was absolutely nuts. And the way the finish was happening, and the cameraman had the perfect angle of where you can see Phil Rowe holding Angelos's head and just unloading on him, dude. It was absolutely, talk about picture perfect. Like, that needs to go on a fucking videogram on a wall like that. It was absolutely so crazy. I do believe it was a little early of a stop. He did fall down, yes, but like, he probably could have taken a little more. I would have wanted Angelos to take a little more after
Well,
some of the stuff that he's pulled in the past. And if he wants to be a warrior, I think that's the exact moment you're supposed to let him see if he can get out of it. But either way,
well,
he
I
was
mean,
getting his ass beat. Go ahead.
and I would have been glad. I was only glad that it got stopped, because he was taking all of those shots without a fucking mouthpiece in. Shout out to that
Oh,
referee.
fuck
Shout out
yeah,
to that
that fucking
amazing ref
idiot.
work
He
there.
probably stepped on it like 2, 3 times,
Bro,
kicked it
literally,
around.
they
Like,
literally showed it in the same. They said it on the broadcast that it fell out and stayed in the same spot throughout the entirety of everything after the announcement and all of that. Like, it
yeah.
was like they zoomed in on this mouthpiece. Oh, shout out to Ditchery Dave from the watch along, saying that it looked like his dog's chew toy. But I mean, like, it was like, bro, this referee just like let that happen, and this dude took a lot of shots without the mouthpiece. I mean, like, so it's like Dom Cruz said, and I agreed with him completely. It's very lucky that Rowe didn't throw a knee to the chin. I mean, that could have sent his teeth straight through the top part of his skull. But
Mhm.
anyway, so yes, this was a very, very impressive comeback for Phil Rowe after 2 terrible rounds. I mean, like, this was, like you're saying, like, this was the a down the line game plan that was working out really nicely for Ange Losa. First round, awful for Rowe. If the game plan was to get Losa to punch himself out, it was a good start that way. But I mean, it was a lot of early striking for Losa that was really working out for him, and Rowe not great off of his back. I don't know why I thought that Phil Rowe was a grappling guy. I had said that on the last episode too. I guess I might be mistaking him for another dude with a similar build and
Another
characteristics and stuff.
Phil.
It could have been because I thought that he was like a flow grappling guy, like one of those type of dudes. But I guess he's just a tall, lanky striker. I mean, Losa nearly finished Rowe in round 2.
Mhm.
I mean, like he was on his back, like really taking some heat there. And then finally in round 3, he starts turning up himself. Phil Rowe does, and systematically overwhelms Losa, striking his way forward, which I really appreciated. And then the mouthpiece comes out, and Rowe just pummels him without it. And like you said, that angle was perfect because like if you didn't see it, it was really a sight to behold because it was Phil Rowe with his hand on Losa's face to hold it in place and just power shots to the side of
Yeah.
the head, man. I mean, it was like bang, bang, bang. It had to be like 5 of them.
No, it was definitely more. It was like 7.
Yeah,
Yeah,
5, 6, 7, something in there.
and the thing was is they were unanswered because Ange was already staggered, so his hands aren't really moving correctly. So he's like reaching and just it was definitely a sight to behold. Is definitely like I don't know. I give Phil Rowe credit because after round 2, I said, guys, we have the welterweight Jose Johnson on our hands. Like this guy is tall for nothing. He doesn't do a goddamn thing, and he's losing to Ange Losa. So shout out to him for making me eat my fucking words because I'll definitely remember this guy. He can fucking he can get wrestled for 2 rounds and be ready to bang in the third.
Yeah.
So
And how crazy is it though that Losa essentially sold this fight because he didn't level change? You know, I mean, like he could if he had just gone down and hugged the legs, bro, go and start crotch sniffing, he would have won that fight. So that is
yeah,
a wild thing in and of itself. He got caught too early, didn't have the wherewithal to make the adjustment to change levels because that's all he needed to do because he was solidly up 2 rounds. Like even with the damage that he had he gotten the level change before those heavy strikes went in there, I mean, he would have sailed to an easy victory. So
right.
unfortunate there. Never can I ever back Ange Losa, and I really feel very stupid for going against the hometown hero over here. But shout out to Phil Rowe putting on for the city. The Ozone salutes you, my man.
Yeah, I definitely feel bad on this one too. This is one of those ones where I'm like, oh, I don't like him, but I do think that he should win this matchup.
Right.
So coming from a person who didn't gamble, I'm like, man, thank God I did not fucking bet on this dude because that was a great performance. But
Yeah.
then the gambling side of me, I would have been so sick. I would have been sick as hell watching him get finished like that. So it's whatever.
For sure. Yeah, most definitely. This certainly would go into comeback of the year territory if that was a category. So keep
Yeah.
that in mind for, future reference. This is one of the better comebacks that we've seen this year for sure.
Absolutely. No, this one, I don't know if I can say it anymore. Like the finish was brutal. It was absolutely it wasn't brutal in the sense of like, oh my God, he's beating him to a pulp. Like somebody step in. It was like almost like, man, he is just really doing him dirty with this one. You don't see it often enough because I don't know. It's just some people just don't have that dog in them like that. Where
Right.
I'm gonna hold your head right there, and I'm going to punch you right in the face. Like I
Yeah.
don't know. It's a
Yeah,
little
for
different.
sure. Yeah, no, most definitely, man, absolutely, and I mean, as far as like Phil Rowe goes, I like they were talking in the post fight interview a little bit about like his mental state and like feeling comfortable inside the cage and feeling like you can be yourself inside the cage, that kind of stuff. I hope that he has like the ability to sort all of that completely and can just be a little bit more of a faster starter because like he could have gotten to this like if he had it in him to do that late in the fight. Like I mean, granted, you want to get Losa a little bit tired out. You want to have him punch himself out and exhaust himself a little bit. But like he could have been making this like a fight of the year contender if the way that both of them were like if they had both been entering the fight with that level of intensity, like
Right.
he'd be making a name for himself just off of the action of it as opposed to it just being like, damn, it's amazing that he was able to come back. So
Yeah.
hopefully he gets himself right so that he can, just be the performer that he obviously is. Cause it's like, if he's able to do that late in the fight, dig deep for that, put that out there earlier, and then you could just be walking through competition, then there's no Jose Johnson comparison. Thank God.
Hell yeah. I agree.
Yeah. So good stuff for Phil Rowe in one of the better comebacks we've seen this year. Moving forward here before we do, I wanted to shout out the chat real quick. John Dong, Vitz King, of course, and TJF. Appreciate all you guys checking in. Oh, and Mank as well. Shout out
Hell
to you.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to the next fight here, Ricky Simone versus Cameron Smotherman. Didn't have too much to say about this one. It was, a nice performance for Ricky.
Yeah, standard Ricky performance. I think I don't really
Yeah.
have too much to say. I think the more interesting thing that we can talk about though is so me and Mank, we were talking about before this fight or kind of during the fight. We were like, what, where is Ricky Simone from? Like, where, what's his like, his ethnicity, right, kind of deal.
Hmm.
And me being the person who knows nothing, I was like, I don't know. I'm thinking something like Italian or something. I don't know. That was definitely wrong. Or what
Yeah.
did I say? Maybe it wasn't Italian, but either way, I said something really stupid. And turns out he is actually, I believe it was Mexican. I don't know what the actual, but either way, he is cousins with Vince Morales, though. Did you know
Ah,
this?
I did not know who exactly it was, but I did catch a little bit of his post-fight interview, like the presser interview when they're
Yeah,
at the table, and he did say that he had, I think he said two relatives who are also MMA fighters. So I was like, oh, I wonder who those are,
yeah.
because it definitely wasn't anybody who also has the last name Simone. I thought at least he's the only Simone that I can readily recall. But that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I wanted to note that because those are two dogs right there, and they said they grew up together, fighting each other. So hey, fuck it. I appreciate that they're both in the organization because Ricky Simone is definitely turning into somebody that I don't mind watching, but other people would say he's boring. And I don't see what's wrong with getting an easy win. You have a short notice opponent that you can't really game plan for, and it's not like you're somebody who's some killer. So you got to go out here and get the win that you know you can get.
Yeah, I mean, and also we've seen Smotherman with some really nice hands before, so I would think that trying to avoid getting into firefights is probably your better option as opposed to, standing and banging and throwing the dice on that one. I mean, if you know that the dude is coming out there with some heaters in his hands, then, doing some good grappling is exactly what you should do. And Ricky Simone did exactly that. Really nice pick up and drop in round one, some good grappling throughout that round and throughout the rest of the fight. I mean, there. I think also Ricky exploited some of the weaknesses that I had already seen in Smotherman as far as his striking goes, because he's one of these guys that keeps a super tight guard. Like his hands are almost like on his face, like when he's guard up, and that opens up the body and the legs perfectly for a lot of the stuff that Ricky was doing. So too nice with the takedowns is what I said. Great awareness of those openings on Ricky's side.
I think what's unfortunate for Cameron Smotherman is taking a fight like this on short notice. I think you got to weigh the odds because yes, you want to be on Dana's good side, but also you're a prospect who's just wiped. He's beaten some pretty decent names already. You just took a loss to Ricky Simone on short notice. I mean, it is a decent jump on short notice, but like you still took an L and you didn't really make an impressive note on that.
Well, and
So
also let's also keep it a buck on that one, because he's beaten a name on short notice. Smotherman is kind of in the doghouse a little bit because of the activity, because he's coming off of not only this loss now, but then a loss previous as well, right? I mean, he had lost his last one.
you might be right. Let me double check
Yeah, because that's
on
what I'm saying.
that
So,
real
because
quick.
shout out to E
Sierra
Money.
City, yep, that's
Yeah,
right, yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
I
Surrey
caught
City.
that one too.
Yeah, so I mean, like, because E-Money J was trying to sell it to me in the on the watch along in the chat. He was saying, "Oh, I've watched the tape." I'm like, if you're only watching the tape of the Jake Hadley fight, then you're not getting the full picture here, because we've seen more of Smotherman now. Shout out to him for taking these fights. I mean, I appreciate that he's hungry. He wants to be in the organization and he wants to go out and show out and all that. But I do agree with you. I think that pacing yourself might be a little bit smarter at this point, because it's like who he reminds me of in that regard is like Damon Blackshear, where it's like
Mhm.
Damon Blackshear was taking fight after fight after fight, like on back-to-back weeks, occasionally 10 days in between or whatever. That ended up biting him in the ass. It's like, dude, you are a good fighter. Like, I mean, he definitely does have like nice hands and some decent movement and stuff. Does need to work on the takedown defense,
Smotherman you're
obviously.
talking about.
Yes, Smotherman.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like you need to like recognize the shortcomings, and then also like give yourself a little bit more time to kind of mature into the promotion, because right now you came in on short notice against Hadley and got a nice win there that definitely got your name out there, but now off of two losses to two decent guys, one I don't know. I've never really been fully sold on Surrey City. I know that you're a little bit bigger a
You're
fan.
drunk. Either
Yeah,
way,
see, that's what I'm
continue.
saying. Whatever. We can agree to disagree on that one. But Ricky Simone is a dude who's been around for a long time, and he's one of those guys that I think, again, I talk about the gatekeepers of the echelons. Like, I would say that, like, to get into decent middle unranked territory that you should be beating Ricky Simone. But it's like now you've lost to a decent prospect, at least in Side. You've lost to a dude who's been around for a while in Simone. You're not doing yourself any favors by continuously picking up the phone right now, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, the problem is also is after this, going forward, it's not like thinking like, oh, if Cameron Smotherman had a full camp, he would have beat Ricky Simone. Like, there's some light there. Like we can see it. But like full camp or not, he would have lost to Ricky Simone. Full camp or not, he probably would have lost to Sirius City. I mean, he did, whatever you want to say. But
Right.
I don't know. Well, going forward, he's not my pick of the favorite prospects to say, especially in bantamweight. That's actually we're getting a little fluffy in the bantamweight division when it comes to prospects. Some are jumping way higher than others. Some are kind of hanging around. You got this 20-year-old that's just taking low-level fights for the rest of his career, I guess. I don't know what Raul's doing, but either way, Cameron Smotherman, I'm just not sold on it right now. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, he's got nice hands, but it's hard to use him when he's on his ass. Sadly, this fight kind of has some echoes of the main event in that way. It's like Ricky was just able to take him down, take him down, take him down. It's like, he had
good sub defense. I'll give him that.
yeah. I mean, fair on that one. And he did have some decent shots in the third when he was able to stay on his feet. But again, it's like if you're down 2 rounds and you can't get the knockout, then oh well,
Yeah. Ricky dumped him, I believe, in the first round, which was really nice. I got
Yeah.
hype about that. But other than that, I think Cameron Smotherman can get up well against the cage. Not necessarily in the hold down position when he's up, when he's able to be against the cage. So I think, I don't know, those are my 2 keys, I guess.
Yeah. He needs to work on getting back to his feet. When he has been taken down out in open water for sure. All of those little movements to get yourself back to the cage, get yourself back on your feet, not let your legs get laced up. That's always, now we're seeing the leg lacing is like a new meta that has taken over when it comes to the ground game, and there really needs to be a better defense for it. Or a negation of it, because it's like so many guys are just they're down for the count when their legs are laced up. So,
Yeah.
He's an unfortunate victim of that too.
Yeah. So we'll see what's next for him.
Yeah, absolutely. But for right here, right now, Blonde Ricky continues to rack up some wins, and I'm here for it, man. I'm a Ricky
Hell yeah.
Simone fan, and I
I
did
agree.
think it was funny. Apparently, the two of them in that fight were jawing at each other pretty heavily, which I didn't really pick up on the broadcast. But yeah, some
I
interesting
saw one
conversation.
moment of it, but I think it was Smotherman talking to someone on his team kind of deal. But that's the only thing that I caught.
Well, commentary had said that Smotherman was telling Simone that they were booing him because of the wrestling or whatever. And that is a note that I had for earlier. The overall view of this card is that this crowd was restless as fuck. Early on in the card, I was like, they're bullshitting over here. They should not be booing as much. Later on, I was like, all right, I'm starting to feel the same way,
No,
guys.
no, this crowd was hilarious because they knew exactly what they wanted to see. When you had 2 strikers that were supposed to be grappling, it's like, boo, get the fuck on the mat. What are you doing? Like at any time it's 2 fucking grapplers and like they want to see them bang. It's like, what are you fucking doing on the mat? Like they were not happy with anything. And I think that was perfect because every fight had listen, if you have a reason to be mad every fight, they have a reason to try to prove you wrong. So I think that adds a great element. If every fight you're hearing boos, you got to be the one to shut them up. Like I think that's key.
For sure. Yeah. Paying $400, $500 tickets for, nosebleed seats. They have every right to boo if they're not
Yeah.
happy.
True.
Um,
True.
Anyway, so yeah, good win for Ricky on that one, though.
Hell yeah.
All right, next up, you man, Mystic Parton over here. Got to give some credit to Mr. Chase, my co-host here, calling this one as one of the best performances of the night, potential fight of the night. Yeah, I think that you are absolutely at least correct about the fireworks on this one. Cody Durden versus Jose Ochoa. Man, this Ochoa kid is something else. He's definitely one to watch out for in the most competitive division in the sport right now. Good Lord. How many killers can they pack into flyweight?
Dude, it's absolutely insane. I love the flyweights. And when you see this fight, when you have the pre-assessment that Cody Durden is middle of the road. He's like the person you can get over, and then that's your moment into the, whatever the rankings kind of deal. When you see Josh Ochoa, Jose, is it Jose? Jose?
Jose, yeah.
Jose Ochoa, Josh is funny. Anyway, Jose Ochoa, when you see him go in there and put the fucking work on Cody Durden, didn't let up one moment on the feet. He was spamming kicks, he was spamming punches, he was mixing in the kicks, he was mixing up the punches, he was doing everything like in a pace that one you obviously don't see often. You see it at a flyweights, but this pace was like insane for flyweights. Like I know Josh Van puts on a pace, but this is a pace that's like kind of similar, except he's mixing in kicks, which I think is pretty impressive, at least for this one performance. He's obviously not Josh Van. Let me preface that.
Who could be?
But this performance was insane because, like I said, first round fireworks, right? Knew this fight was going to be awesome. Second round, Cody Durden comes out smiling, ready for some more, and instantly gets rocked against the cage and finished. And
Brother.
it was absolutely beautiful the way that Jose Ochoa did it. He fucking just went out there and just I don't even remember what he did. He didn't hit him with the first punch because it was more like a setup, and then he just rocked Cody Durden, sat him on his ass, and then just pounded him. And he obviously was out. Like it was kind of brutal how many shots he was taking because like he was laying down, like getting pounded.
Well, I mean, backtracking just a little bit, I mean, this was great work from Ochoa in general across the board. But one note that I definitely wanted to mention was that it was really nice to see. We're talking about takedown defense in the last fight. It was really nice to see Ochoa able to get back to his feet when Cody got him down, because Durden is one of these guys that like he gets his hands on you and he can figure out submissions. We've seen some really nice submissions from Cody Durden in the past. So, you know, anytime you're on the ground with him, yeah, he's one of those guys that's like, yeah, you know, the overall record is going to be what it's going to be, but like we have seen some really good performances out of him. So it's like, you never know if you're going to be the unfortunate victim of one of his good nights, you know? So
Yeah.
I thought that was really nice. And then Ochoa was swinging a little bit wild, but when he tightened up the accuracy, he found the mark with really nice power. That's the other thing too. It's like he was starting to throw out some crazy haymakers and stuff like that, and then he kind of reeled himself back just a little bit. And when he was finding the mark, the amount of power he was putting on those shots, really, really nice. But then at the end of that first round, Durden started to recognize that, yo, I'm getting touched up, so I need to throw too. And shout out to Cody Durden landing a couple of decent shots. He got himself back into that fight for a little bit there. And then he got the takedown at the very end. So, you know, Ochoa ends the round on his back. Optically not great in that small little moment, but like, you know, you saw the amount of damage going through there. So it's like, how is Durden going to come out in the second round? Well, didn't matter because Ochoa took every round starts on the feet, quite literally off the blocks, gets that knockout in round two, uppercut into the left hook. Yeah, it was really, really nice.
Yeah, this was a damn good performance. Unfortunately, you know, I think what's key to note is Ochoa put on a great performance. He's definitely a prospect to look out for, and he's going to make the division interesting. But there's just one thing to note is that how good is Lonnie Kavanaugh if he put this guy through the ringer for 3 rounds? You know, I don't know. I think that guy, and especially, and you know, we talked about Vanessa Demopoulos being an undersized, you know, player in the game. Lonnie Kavanaugh is one of those guys who is he's gonna have so many disadvantages going forward in his career. But when you go up against a guy like this and he puts on a performance like this, and I think back to what Lonnie did to him, I mean, this is a fucking fun division, guys. This is going to be interesting. There's going to be a rematch that I'm feeling here soon coming with those guys.
Could be. Yeah, very well could be. I mean, when it comes to Lonnie, I'm just worried about the power with him, but I think he makes up for it in speed and accuracy too. So like, yeah, you know, down the line, a rematch between these two guys at like the next stage of their career, you know, when they're both leveled up a little bit, they're both more situated in the organization, have a couple more fights under their belts. I think that there could be a really, really fun rematch. I would like that.
Well, I think it's very possible. And hear me out. I know Cody Durden's a big jump, so Ochoa could be ranked here soon and he could get matched up with a real killer. But I think for the time being, Ochoa's only loss should be Kavanaugh until they get high enough, until obviously he faces somebody that's fucking, you know, Pantoja or you know, anything like that. Ochoa should rise to the rankings, and then when Kavanaugh's been in the rankings probably for a fight or two, then we'll see them pretty close, and I think that's when we'll call for that rematch in a main event on a fight night. Probably won't be a main event because they hate the flyweights, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. Right now, I mean, we definitely did see, and we saw
Yeah,
a performance of the night bonus for him as well. So shout out to Jose Ochoa for getting the job done and putting on for Peru.
yeah,
We've got a couple of Peruvian fighters coming in now, a little bit more representation of Peru and some of the other smaller Hispanic countries, and nice to see. So I like it.
yeah. It sucks that this fight came before the next one because it just gets completely overlooked, I think. But
Yeah, well, I mean, this is talk about performance of the night. Let's get right into it. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Chris Mutino. R.I.P. Chris Mutino. You are forever the man, but God, the sacrificial lamb that you have been. I mean, that is what you need to take away from Chris Mutino, ladies and gentlemen, is that this man dies for this sport, and
mhm,
he needs to be respected as one of the greatest to ever get knocked out, because he goes out there against absolute, like, legit killers, like people who are either stars already or are going to be stars, and he walks face first into the flames and the
mhm.
punches, unfortunately, but still he does the damn thing. So I got a lot of respect for Chris Mutino.
I think what's key to note, and I don't think you saw that I posted it in the Discord. I don't know if you got to take a note, but they did release the pay amounts for the fighters on this card.
Yes.
It is key to note that Chris Mutino went out and had this performance for $14,000, guys, and that is a shame to say because I think somebody who comes back into the UFC for a second stint, 14,000. Yo, Julius Walker on his debut made 12. Chris Mutino is somebody that you damn sure need to put a little respect on. He's somebody that Sean O'Malley, your fucking prize boy, couldn't even finish. So they should have gave him a little something, I think, because I mean, honestly, you throw him up against the bantamweight Poton. I don't know what to tell him. I mean, that's just unfortunate.
For
One thing I
real.
want to know first.
Yeah.
This is the other time. This is the first time I think I didn't notice the one with Phil Rowe. This time they showed the old footage of Chris Motino in the promo video. So he's got the green hair, and then
Yep.
he does, and he's clean shaven, and then he comes out looking like trailer trash. Like I think it was definitely a sight to behold. And like you said, dude, he's game as fuck because you come out here against Malcolm Wellmaker, who's a known knockout artist. Like he is walked in the UFC, knocked somebody out. And that's all you need to know so far. I mean, all you can see is that he knocks people out. And once again, we'll have the conversation about going forward. We're gonna have to see the other skills, just see how well rounded he actually is, what he's working on, yada yada yada. But as for the time being, I said it before just because it's a fun thing to say about him because it is a really cool thing that he is a legit gunslinger. But absolutely does he sling his hooks from the hip. And I think it is absolutely insane the way that he does it because yeah, it's somehow not as telling as you would think. Obviously, he's winding up from a farther location. You would be able to track it down, but he sets it up with the kick so well. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's going to kick low, he's going to kick the body, then he's going to fake the kick to the body, and he's going to rip a hook that comes from the fucking gates of hell. And it's going to land square on your fucking. It actually doesn't even land square because Chris Mutino only caught like a little whiff of it, kind of deal. Like it was just like the knuckle part, but that's the deadliest part. Like right when it grazes, and then it's just lights out. Chris Mutino face first, sliding on his face. Like that's one of the worst ones is when you see him face down, butt up, and then they start sliding down. Like that one, it's just like, oh man, like that's just cruel to see.
Yeah.
But wow, Malcolm Wellmaker is damn near one of my favorite, especially calling your shot, getting a knockout just a couple months ago, saying I want to be on the Atlanta card and I want to go out here and do it again. Comes out here, does it again, gets another $50,000 bonus. What can you say for a 31-year-old prospect?
I mean, you had said he's somebody that you need to remember the name. I mean, we had said about him prior to this that he was knocking people out so efficiently that he was somebody that we were forgetting about because it was just he's in the cage, he's out of the cage. He was getting the
Yes.
job done so quickly that he was almost forgettable in how great he was.
I think that is why the Alex Bejeda comparison is really ringing out to me is because he's not even having to use the other skills because what he's showing on the feet is is, unbreakable as of right now. Like, he's doing it so well, and he's going to continue to do it just at that level until somebody makes him, have to figure it out. Alex, he was knocking everybody out, and then Jan made him figure it out. He started to have to wrestle with him. Bruno obviously didn't get knocked out, but he still wanted to strike with him. He gave Alex the game that he wanted. Jan was the first one to give Alex something different. And Alex didn't necessarily have the greatest performance. Some would argue that he didn't necessarily win. Thankfully, he did. The UFC, whoever the gods were, they were the right call on that. But I think Malcolm Wellmaker does things very similar to Alex. He sets up, he's so good with his range, and he sets up the kicks, and he's setting up for the kill shot. It's never just because he wants to kick you. It's never because he wants to just kick you in the stomach. It's never just he wants to kick you in the leg. It's because he wants you to think that he's going to kick you in the leg. He wants you to think the teep is coming. And just when you bite on it and the hands drop or the leg goes up, that's when he's going to fucking obliterate you. And I think it's going to be super impressive. Malcolm Wellmaker has very good kicks. I would not be, I was actually going to tweet at the dude. I'll say it right here online. If you go out here and you watch Alex Bejeda and Yuri 2, when Yuri comes out in round 2 and gets obliterated with a switch kick, that is all Malcolm Wellmaker needs to develop on the feet right now. You get that switch kick down and you have everything. You're a gold. You could be championship material as long as you can defend a takedown and get up off the mat. You are fucking amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what you're saying about him having like a solid set of like a game planning roadmap to getting to the knockout is 110% correct. He rips to the body so nicely with controlled power. Those body blows were phenomenal. He said it in, in the post fight. He was like, yeah, he was dropping his hands because he was getting tired of getting hit in the body so much. And it's like, yeah, that rings true. I mean, granted, he was doing so much of everything that it's like, you can kind of say that it was one thing or the other thing, but either way, it all equals up to the end being the same result. But the setup of the knockout was also fantastic. So basically what he did, he kicks once, then he feints a second kick. Then it's the cross check hook with the battery on full output. You know what I mean? So it's like exactly like you're saying. I mean, like the kicks were already there. The kicks were already there as the setup. And he just has a nice little way of like luring you into the trap and then springing the trap. And the trap is just a dynamite stick that's ready to explode, and really something else to see. And when he gets the one shot and just stands over his victim like Superman, it's just like, that's something else, dude. This guy, he not only is he great in action, but he's also like charismatic. He's got a good
very
personality.
likable.
Yeah, very likable as well. I'm telling you, there's really nothing to dislike about this guy so far. And the fact that he's able to do what O'Malley couldn't do in 3 rounds or 2.5 rounds, whatever you want to say.
No, it was 3 rounds and 42 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. Stopped at the very last second. So, certainly could have gone to decision, but, he was able to do it in 1, or 2 rather, he did in the second round, but able to do that when, O'Malley couldn't essentially do it throughout
the entirety. In the first round.
Was this the first round?
First round.
But Wellmaker did it in 1. Yes, he did. Yeah, 2 and 2/3 is what I had in the note. Yeah. My bad. Yes, first round knockout. But yeah, so I mean, able to do it in 1. I mean, yeah, this is a really solid performance from a guy that you want to root for. I'm really liking Malcolm Wellmaker.
I think it's unfortunate that he is so likable, because when he does lose, it's going to hurt more. But I think, again, for the time being, if you just keep doing what you're doing on the feet and you make sure you can get your ass off the mat when it happens, because it's going to happen. I mean, you're not going to bulldoze your way through everybody like this. There's going to be a time, and it may be next one, where you don't get that knockout. You may have to hunt for it after you knock him. He may get up, who knows? But for now, I'm telling you, the striking, it is similar in the aspect of Alex, because it is so deadly in the setup game, because the setup is not just coming for the 3rd round when he's finally going to, it's coming as soon as you fucking drop your hands. It is the moment that you think that it is, like the split second they have that opportunity, they take it, and it somehow works. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I think this guy's really, really good.
Yeah, I also do as well. And, as far as Moutinho goes, man, it feels bad seeing him in this position yet again. Joe Martinez announced Moutinho as a wrestler. I would really hope that he actually does that at some point. And, they were saying on the commentary how he's like just got out of like a really bad relationship and he's like sorting his life out and all that kind of stuff. Like, give the guy one more. Could you give this guy like a can, please? Like, just let this guy get a win. He deserves it.
I agree. I actually wanted to fact check you. I think I'm right. I believe the ex-girlfriend thing was during the his first UFC run. That's when he was in the bad state.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
mean. He's out of that now, so
Yes.
he's
Yes.
getting his life together and all
Yes.
that kind of stuff. So
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Give this guy like a contender series, bum essentially. Give him some. Let him have a fight where his opponent drops out and he gets a short notice replacement. Just give this guy a win in the UFC for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I kind of agree. For
For everything he has
$14,000.
done for you, you know.
Yeah, but you got to understand this. You should understand conceptually that like I didn't even watch the UFC religiously. I would watch the highlights and I would turn on Sean O'Malley and be like, okay, I watch his full fight, and I watch Chris Mutino, and at the end of the day, I'm sitting here years later, and only thing that I can sit here and say in my mind is like, man, Sean O'Malley really never finished Chris Mutino. That ref really screwed him over out of a decision loss. Yes, but like he didn't get finished. Like, they did that shit just so Sean O'Malley on paper looks really, really good. Like, oh, he finished Chris Mutino. Malcolm Wellmaker did too. But like, no, Sean O'Malley did not finish Chris Mutino. And as somebody who wasn't even a fan at the time, I can tell you that that's what I would say every time Sean O'Malley would show up. He'd be like, man, but he really didn't finish that other guy, like, so maybe it's not that, I think you should just understand that he's transcending to casuals. Like his name, it doesn't mean anything. It's not anything special, but like, you kind of know who Chris Mutino is, and you know who the fuck he is. He's a Chad, man.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. You put some respect on his name, win or loss. I would say anyway.
Yeah.
Good for him being back for that 14K.
Yeah.
And thank you to Malcolm Wellmaker for getting this knockout, because we got a promo package because of this knockout for the main event. Of course, they filling up that time that it would have been for the fight, and yours truly making a little guest appearance on that one. So thank you very much, Chase, and shout out to Badger for catching that clip and making me aware of it. But yeah, if you go back and watch the promo package after the Wellmaker knockout, you'll see your boy Thinker out there in Tampa, mugging and standing over a very lovely police officer who is a very nice lady as well. She was quite charming.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I didn't know when exactly that had happened in memory, but dude, when Badger showed up in the Discord and he's like, "Holy shit, did you guys see it?" And I'm like, "Fuck are you talking about?" I mean, yeah, of course, I saw Malcolm Wellmaker blast this dude's fucking out. He's like, "Dude, Thinker was on the UFC," and I was like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, what? Like his tweet popped up. I'm like, I know he don't be on Twitter that much, where he could like show, and like, so he sent the clip, and I'm watching, and I'm like, holy shit, that is Thinker. Like, dude, I've been showing that to everybody. Like, I went up to, I was at, my dad. I was like, "Hey, Dad, like, you see this?" And he's like, "What am I seeing here?" And I was like, "That's my podcast co-host." And
Yeah.
he was like, "I don't. I mean, okay." And I was like, but like, you see that though? Like, that's on TV.
Yeah, exactly. That's
So,
international broadcast. That's international exposure. I was shouting out the MMA Hive at the time. We should have been shouting out Yama, but that's
yeah,
that's
right.
all right. Either way, shout out to the Hive.
Yeah.
They got a little on air on the UFC broadcast off of that. So
Yeah, that's
very
dope.
very cool. But anyway, let's
Yeah,
move on.
talk about very cool. We can definitely talk about other things because this is not one of a very cool things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. This is, I was thinking that this card was like off to a pretty good start up until this point, and this is definitely one of the ones where we had a bit of a lull. This was a nice hard spar between these two old men, and the crowd was not feeling it.
Well, that's my thing. My takeaway first is that if you are somebody who is refusing to retire, basically, you are on the point of your career where it is like questionable, it could be on the table. God, I cannot stop. If it is the performance that you need to solidify your decision, it should probably be the one that you're getting booed at. Like if you are just not in the physical prime anymore. And I actually thought Michael Chiesa should go out here and roll through Court McGee. I thought he was going to get a submission win. Somehow, some way, I thought he was going to actually have some steam like he did in his last fight. I was incorrect. These dudes did not want to fight. The fact that these guys, I don't know if you saw because you don't have Twitter, they posted on Twitter. You know what a jersey swap is, right?
Yeah.
they posted a jersey swap, Michael Chiesa and Court McGee, and it was like, man, I'm so happy that I shared the ring with you. Like that was such an amazing performance, like shit like that. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all just put on one of the worst performances that I ever saw in my life, and y'all have the nerve to get on Twitter with this bullshit. You could have kept it to yourself. Go to Instagram with that shit. Like, bro, what the fuck, bro? This matchup, it was hurtful.
Yeah,
It,
well, it was unexpected, I think, more than anything, because, like you said, Chiesa by submission was a solid prediction, but things stayed on the feet primarily in this fight, and both of these guys are more known for the ground game. So, I mean, Chiesa just being fine with picking shots from the outside and staying active on his feet. I thought that Chiesa looked pretty decent in this fight, all things considered. Now, I know that this was not a fireworks affair, but with the type of fight that it was with a much older opponent, with Court McGee there, I thought that Chiesa did okay as far as the striking went. I mean, Court's never been the fastest guy, but his speed was noticeably lacking in this one. I mean, out the gate, just sluggish in this fight. And then, of course, as the fight progressed, it got worse and worse. So it was like Chiesa was just, basically, again, like it was really just a legit hard spar. Like it was like, okay, I'm going to go over here. I'll punch you a little bit. I'll go over here. I'll punch you a little bit more. That's all that it was. Cause I mean, he didn't really need to do much more. I would have expected him to want to go to the ground. I guess he was respecting Court's ground game a little bit too much, but yeah, I mean, it was almost even throughout a couple of exchanges. Just Chiesa kept a little bit ahead because he was a little bit faster, quicker to the draw with the shots. And that was about it.
Bro, I'm actually hurting right now for how you are not thinking this fight was damn awful. Like this was just listen, the
I've
fact that
seen worse
you
on this card.
anyway, so the fact that you have two dudes that are in the stand up who are grapplers, who are shit strikers, and the crowd is booing them, please go grapple. That should tell you what you're putting on in a standing like performance. Is because like, bro, crowds love standing and banging. Like that's what we're here for the most part. We don't want to see the grappling most of the time. But when you have two dudes that we're praying that you grapple and you put on the worst facet of your game on, spotlight. I mean, I walked away thinking Michael Chiesa sucks at striking and he should have just grappled. I would have probably thought he was decent if he would have just grappled again. Like, man, he probably would have, yeah, Michael Chiesa's finally getting it together. But no, like that dude, oh my goodness, 81 strikes against a senior citizen, basically. Like,
He's a senior citizen himself, though.
I mean, I agree. Like, if you're gonna wear a gray beard and you're gonna be in the sport still, you have to be cult. Like, you have to be good. Like, you have to be very, very good. Or, like, in my opinion, why are you even doing it? Like, is it for the love of the game? Because that's not what this promotion is for. This is not for just the people who can't seem to let it go. This is the top. This is the pinnacle. That's what we should be having to say. I know we want to cater to the people who built the sport and who have been here forever, but like Michael Chiesa, they booed you and you are like, I know these are casual people booing you, but like the performance is just not lending to what you probably are wanting to give the fans. If you are a diehard of the sport, you should know that you're trying to put on a performance for the fans. Like entertainment is key in this. And if that's not what you're giving us, dude, I was all for when you got a submission, but that one is not it. So
Yeah, I mean, and he also does have a cushy desk job now too, as an analyst. So it's like, I mean, yeah, what are you really doing it for? If again, you just love of the game, like you said, but yeah, I mean, lower on the prelims, early prelims, if anything, maybe makes more sense. But I did think it was pretty funny that Mike had to apologize into the camera about the lack of excitement in the fight because they didn't interview him afterwards.
yeah,
It was a little
exactly. See
teardrop
that.
moment.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was actually perfect, I think. I think that's exactly what I would like to see every single time is like as soon as the cameraman's about to walk away, no, 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 no. Like I want to see shit like that. Like because if you don't put on the performance, they need to actually just troll the shit. DC needs to walk in with the mic and then they need to call him and then be like, oh no, no, never mind. And then they walk and have him walk back out. Like that would be even better.
Bait and switch them, just
Yeah,
yank it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But either way, I'm being an asshole, but Michael Chiesa, I think I don't know, bro. You got the win. Happy
Yeah,
for you.
pretty much. I mean, like I said, I think he was just respecting the ground game of McGee a little bit. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit hypercritical of the striking. I thought he looked decent as far as it
Yeah,
goes against an older guy, like and being an older guy himself as well.
Okay.
Fair. All right. I mean, yes, it was not an exciting fight for sure. And it certainly was not as entertaining as what we're going to be going into next. Are you ready to get into this?
Yeah, we can definitely get into
Oh, we
this.
got to, man. All right. Paul Craig versus Adolfo Bellato. Starting this thing off before we get to the spectacle here. Paul Craig walking out to Umbop by Hansen. Very based. I
I'm
appreciated
glad
that.
you brought that up because I was curious what this song is and why he decided to walk out to it. Is it just because he's a fun guy that just picks a funny song, or is this a Scottish band or something?
No, it's just being a fun guy who's picking a
Okay.
fun song. And yeah, I
Very
mean,
annoying song, I'll tell you that.
us older heads definitely recognize that one pretty readily, pretty immediately. But
Well, I know not to get sidetracked, but Nav popped on and he was like, "Yeah, this song was made by like 5 children. They just got on there and made a song one day, and it just went popular." I was like, "All right, thanks, Nav."
yeah, shout out to Nev. Shout out to Hanson, the Hanson brothers. Yes, the
Yeah.
three of them, those little blonde mops that those kids were back in the day. Apparently make pretty decent music otherwise. But again, digress on this. I got some friends who are Hanson fans. Anyway, all right. So professional acting debut of Rodolfo Bellato, perhaps. I mean, Paul Craig starting this thing out with some spinning sidekicks that I thought were actually pretty nice. Grappling specialist Paul Craig pulls Bellato on top of him late in round one. That was pretty funny. And then this starts into what would eventually be one of the most bizarre things that we've seen in recent memories here. Bellato gets up. Craig starts up kicking and lands almost one for one the same illegal up kicks that Juliana Pena landed against Kayla Harrison. So the thing that gets me about this, basically what happens here for anybody who's not aware of how this all went down, is that this fight ended in a no contest.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You're spoiling it. You're
Okay.
spoiling
Well, I
it.
mean that. Okay. You want to go up point by point? We
Yeah,
can do that.
yes.
Yeah.
I think the no contest. I
Well,
think that's
there's
crucial to bring
reason.
up later.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
I
because
think
there's
that's
reasons
crucial
that
to
I think
bring
that
up
it's
after.
ridiculous, though.
No, but we could talk about it because I think it's great. So
All
I
right.
think it'll bring up a great. So go through the thing and then
Okay.
we'll get into the
Fine.
decision.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just keep breaking it down. So yeah. So he lands those up kicks. Bellato essentially he starts go he at first takes the kick and then he flails his arms outward, looks directly at the referee, and then flings himself backwards as if he's been knocked out. Then he quote unquote comes to, and then either pretending or not, this is the $1 million question, but goes and does the thing where he thinks he's still in the fight and starts grabbing at the legs of the referee, pretending that he's an open guard, basically, shuffling himself back to the cage. This was something else to behold.
You're missing a key component here.
Okay,
So I think allow me to paint the
please go
picture
for
for
it.
you. Bob Ross this shit. So up kick comes. You get in slow motion. You can clearly see the up kick doesn't even land, not even flush. It
What?
Yes. Yeah, it literally it hits him in the shoulder. It literally doesn't even hit bro in the face. I've sent all these clips. I probably didn't send them to you. They didn't make you, but dude, that's why this is so scandalous. Is because all the angles have come out. So the up kick goes right by, maybe grazes his beard a little bit, but he's obviously flopping. You know, he's doing his whole song and dance. He's flopping. Yes, he looks at the ref like, dude, are you gonna call it? And then he falls back, right? And then you see the camera angle where Paul Craig is contesting, where he's got one knee down. He's like, dude, like it, and in my opinion, I think that's a fucking stupid rule as it is. If you want to play the game and be half up and half down, up kicks legal, buddy. I don't give a shit. So I think Paul Craig, I would agree with you. Fucking one up, one down. Yeah, I shall blast him with an up kick. Anyway, so Paul Craig's contesting, and then the camera angle is on Paul Craig, and then you see Bellato's legs in the bottom of the screen start flopping around like a fish, and then you're like, what the fuck is he doing? He's like seizing out. Like you really thought something was absolutely wrong. They switched the camera angle, and you see Bellato having the most terrifying nightmare that he woke up from. He's like in the scariest state that a man of his size should ever be, which is why, again, it's also a little on the dramatic side. It's like, come on, brother, are you 7 waking up from a nightmare? Seriously, did you wet yourself? But either way, so he's waking up, flailing around. We still don't know what's going on. Like we're all confused. He's like confused. He starts getting up. He sits back down. The ref comes over to him, and then he's like, "Oh wait, now let's grapple." Like the ref wasn't even near him when he was doing his whole song and dance, trying to fake his fucking way. Like, "Oh, I'm awake now," type deal. Then he starts wrestling with the ref. Then, we get all the angles where we see him do his little flop, and then he lays back. And I'm thinking, did he hit his head? Like, did he actually knock himself out, possibly, when he flailed back and landed on the mat? No, he laid back, he's looking around, closes his eyes, starts fake breathing like he's asleep. Like, you can tell when somebody's like unconsciously breathing. Like, it's a little different. It just wasn't that. And I think it is crucial to note that this went down to the judges, not down to the judges, but they went to the judges, and we didn't know what was going on. They obviously told Bellato he was not going to fucking continue. I thought that was key too. It's like, the fight's over, no options. Like, there's no, hey, let's time now. It's like the doctor's already there telling the dude, like, you're going to see it on the replay here in a second, guy. You heard that. But either way, they go to the judges, and everybody's convinced it's going to be a DQ win. I'm even convinced Bellato thought that it was going to be a DQ win, because that's probably why he put on this whole song and dance. I know I said that already, but Paul Craig goes out here, puts on an interesting performance, and gets a no contest because of this. And I think that is amazing, because exactly what happened, and I think Marcel Dorf, he tweeted about it mid-card. He said what he thinks happened. He thought that the commentary crew, not the commentary, but the review crew saw exactly what we as the audience saw, made the right call, and did not bail him out with a DQ win here. And I think that is amazing by whoever made the call there. Do not fucking give him this shit for that weak sauce. I think this was perfect. And I know you probably don't agree.
Well, no, it's not that I agree because of the dynamics as you've laid them out there. Like, yes, this is the justice is served correct way for that to have been handled. However, if you go by the letter of the law, now, I mean, you can debate the merits of the one knee down being, should it be illegal or not? That's debatable. Yes, I would probably tend to agree with you, because my whole thing is, if you are on two soles of your feet and crouched down and you take an up kick, legal. If you are in the exact same position, just your knee happens to be down, not legal. To me, it's like negligible. I would think that that on the knees should probably also not be an illegal strike. I would say, but that that's something for the rules committee and all that kind of stuff to put into the unified rules. The unified rules as is currently, that is an illegal strike. So my whole thing is that if you go by the letter of the law, this should have been a DQ, because Paul Craig made it very obvious that it was intentional. That's the whole thing. Because if you heard at the end of the performance, or at the end of when they were the announcement, the ring announcement, they said due to unintentional illegal up kicks, or that's what they had said on the commentary too. Oh, it's unintentional. No, bullshit. It was unintentional. He went down to one knee, gesturing towards the referee, like, hey, he had one knee down. I kicked him. That should be legal. No, brother, you didn't know the rules. So I mean, you outed yourself with that. I mean, so that's my whole thing, dude. I'm saying, like, as far as the justice is served aspect of it, I agree completely, because yes, Bellato, after careful review, I mean, I definitely think that one of those up kicks absolutely landed. I mean, he threw two.
Nope.
I'm
Nothing.
gonna have to double check on that,
flush,
brother.
dude. That's what's I showed this to my boss, and like, she's just a woman. She's just a woman that works in retail with me. Like, what does she know about fights? Maybe she knows on the secret end. I don't know. But I showed her this, and she said, even I know this is like WWE level stuff. And I was like, thank you. And then I just went on about my day. I'm just glad she watched that one video for me. But like, yeah, like, this was ridiculous. Like, nobody should be acting like this in the UFC. That's what's crucial. And we'll get down to somebody who has, later in the card, we have somebody who continuously has had moments where they do some weird things like this, and then it creates an image on yourself. Bellato, the image that you have right now, one, is that you have herpes, and two, you're just a weird dude who just doesn't want to fight. Like, the most harmless guy on the roster has bursting for a DQ win. And I think it's funny too, is Bellato came out and said, like, he doubled down on it. I was unconscious, my body was tingling, and I whatever. And he said, why would I want to way out of a fight I was winning? And I'm like sitting here thinking, who the fuck thought you was winning? It was close, brother. I mean, maybe, like, I don't know, but like, yeah, that was definitely, he didn't want to fight him. And the problem is too, it's not just that this is a fight and this happened. This is a fight where it already fell through, and they were like, no, we have to make this happen. So the fact that it ends like this, it's like, well, what the fuck did you book this for twice? We could have had some other bum against Paul Craig, like,
Yeah, for sure. I think even on commentary they said, cursed fight. And I guess that is somewhat accurate. But
Yeah,
yeah, strange way for this thing to end, strange route for Bellato to have taken. I do want to play devil's advocate a little bit, only to say that I have seen certain people saying that, oh, well, we have seen delayed knockouts in the past, and that is true. We have definitely seen people who look like they're still there, and then what seems like seconds go by, and then they fall or then they're knocked out. This did not appear to be that. And I think Anthony Smith actually had a really good assessment of it. On the post show, they were going over the fights, and he kind of broke it down, and he was like, I've been in there. I've seen this a lot. This did not look like what it should look like if he was actually delayed knocked out.
mm,
So yeah, I mean, after, in the moment, I always want to give the benefit of the doubt to these fighters. It's like they're doing something that, 99% of the population will not do. They're, all warriors for making the walk, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, like looking back and watching it step by step and watching it in slow motion, and then just the dramatics of him going, pulling guard on the referee. It's like, bro, you really were selling, man.
yeah.
It wasn't enough just to sell the knockout with the big flop backwards. He had to really go the extra mile with he thought he was still in the fight,
Well, I think what's also
appearance.
key to note is that I think after a certain amount of time, when he got the no contest, I think he realized the jig was up because he just walked out. Like if you were seriously somebody who got knocked out like that and that was something to happen, your body's tingling, get the stretcher, get the fucking stretcher. Like get me up out of here. Like I'm not about to do the walk where we do the whole hand raise thing. It's like, yo, I couldn't feel my feet. Like something like that. Bellato took his L, walked up out of there with a like, well, I don't know. Like, I tried, guys. Like, that's just all that he had for us. And like, I hate to break it to you, and unfortunately, it's Monday, so we would have seen the news if it would have happened. But Bellato ain't got a place if this is how he's going to be acting.
Yeah, that was some soccer level flopping. Like, again, you break it
It's just
down
not good
piece
for
by
the
piece.
fucking sport, dude.
Yeah,
It's just not good for what we have for the product. Like, we normally don't have people who embellish shit like this. Like, this is outward, like, blasphemy. Like, you're watching this, and of course, every week there's something new that happens, right? But, like, do you want to be the one person that has the moment that you're like, what the fuck was going on in that fight? Like, I don't know.
yeah. No, I mean, it has echoes of Angelosa versus Brian Battle, which I made an entire video about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I take these type of instances pretty seriously as well. It's like, yeah, you're right. It is bad for the sport, and I mean, it's definitely bad for your brand, and it's bad for Paul Craig. He traveled all the way from Scotland to have a fair, equal fight, and this is how it has to end for him. I mean, shit, give the guy the fight he wants.
Well, and I hate to be that guy too, but it's like, this is what you signed up for. Like, don't be the guy who's looking for a DQ win because you want to be the killer. Like, if you want to be the top guy, I mean, listen, and Anthony Smith was breaking it down. It's like take a note. Anthony Smith, is somebody who is looked at, and there are going to be comments till the day that he dies about what he did in the cage, of course. But there's something that he would never do, and it's shit like this. He would not walk out there and put on and make himself look like an even more goofball than he already does, unfortunately. But like this right here is just one, unheard of, and two, just should not be around. I don't want to see shit like this ever again.
Yeah,
Seriously.
no, you make a great point about Anthony Smith with that. If Anthony Smith had taken the easy road, he would be champion.
Tom
There you
Aspinall would be the fucking goat right now. I know.
yeah. So the whole history of the sport could have been changed with a performance like that from Smith. And I mean, this is obviously a much lower level, but still, you see what can happen with performances, quote unquote, like that.
Well, I just think it's key is like, say Bellato didn't do it this fight, at least in our mind, it's like now we know when it got tough, this is what he would have tried to do. Had this been a championship fight and he got an up kick, oh yeah, he's trying to walk out there with that fucking belt after a DQ win, buddy. Like there ain't no way he's like, I don't know. And it's just again, no place for it in this sport. I love other sports and they do embellish a lot of contact. And now that I watch a real contact sport, it's like, okay, come on now. But like this guy here, minimal contact. I'm telling you, watching slow motion, the kicks didn't even fucking land, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I just think this is crazy.
True.
It
Well,
hurts to even talk about it because it's like this is there wasn't a fight. Like, this was a circus act. Like, this
Well,
was
that's I mean, that the
the
last question.
WWE moment, really.
Yeah, and that's the last question that I have about this then. Do you think that Rodolfo Bellato has dethroned Aljamain Sterling as the greatest actor in the sport?
No, because we have somebody else who's actually really good too. Like, he's a tied for a close second. This is definitely the all-time performance. This is like 4 Oscars right here for this one. Aljamain only got like 2 for his. But the dude that we have later on in the card, he's like the reigning. He's got like 4 years of 4 Oscars. So we'll continue to get into him here in a little bit.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, we got a fight in between. I'm gonna have a little bit of pushback on that one, but we'll get to it when we get to it. Let's get into the main card here. All right. Alonzo Menafield versus Umar C. C was a -700 favorite in this fight. What did you think of his performance against Alonzo Menafield, Chase?
I think there's a couple things to note. One, this is the second time that Alonzo Menafield, I'm not going to say he lost this fight, but he put on a shit performance and walked away with a W. Wait, no, hold on.
No. Oh, in this fight, you're saying?
Yeah, Alonzo Menafield sucks. Omar C also sucks because he decided to kickbox with the striker for 3 rounds. Actually, what's key to note is the second round he decided to grapple, got 3 minutes and 30 seconds of control time, did not go back to it the third round, and decided to lose this fight. It was absolutely atrocious by Umar that he was able to grapple so well in the second round and never decided to do it again in the fight.
But so well in the second round, he didn't complete the takedown, didn't do anything with the control.
It doesn't matter. If he was able to hold him down for the 3 minutes and 30 seconds, if you do that from the first of the bell, then you can do your striking later on once you've muscled him around a little bit. Once you've had him work getting up, using all that big frame that he's got. Umar C is a wrestler. And he tried to come out here and prove a point that he's better than Julius Walker. Like, oh, I can beat Alonzo Menafield on the feet. I just saw that dude take him to 3 rounds, and it was, and he didn't even win that fight, in my opinion. That's why I think it's criminal that Alonzo Menafield keeps coming out here and he keeps being in the ranks when we know he's not that fucking good. And maybe I'm just a hater, but Umar C is way better than this performance. The striking was close. I'll give it to him. Landing 37 strikes is fucking criminal. Like, if you want to strike for 3 rounds and you land 37 strikes and your opponent lands 34, criminal performance, by the way. This one was pulling teeth because Umar C, again, is a grappler, bro. Like, you literally could have done what you did in the second round from the beginning and probably could have worked towards something eventually, or just negated his striking altogether. But you decided to play the game and you ended up losing, and that's what you fucking get, to be honest. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the issue here, at least as I saw it, was that C was put off by the first shot that he took from this fight. He didn't like the power that he felt from Menafield. He spent a lot of time after that initial shot over evading. That was the note, especially coming off of the watch along. I remember myself on the watch along saying when he shuffles out, he shuffles like 3 or 4 steps out when really all you need is like 1 or 2 kind of thing. Like, he was getting himself way out of range, like way far out, getting very far away from counter shots after throwing his own. And what he threw was low output in general throughout all of this. So Menafield, the note that I have for Menafield is that he's basic. Like, that's the note for Menafield. He's not, there's nothing flashy or unique about what he does. It's just controlled, decent powered combos, like not even crazy power, but just decent enough power, and nice control, not overextending at any time, just finding the timing and stringing together shots. Again, textbook basic, you could say, but I mean, he certainly did enough of that here with C. Like you said, not going to what he is good at in wrestling. Why he didn't start that earlier, I do not know, but this did not work out well for him. If I had known that this was the game plan, I would have been putting the house on Menafield, because we know Menafield has good takedown defense. That's why I always appreciate how Menafield uses and distributes his body weight. He keeps his base really low, and he is a huge hulking frame. So when you go in for a double leg on him up against the cage, he sprawls to a point, spreads his legs out to a point where he's got a really nice base of power, like a powerful base to keep himself on his feet. And I think that C tried the wrestling in the second round kind of saw that there wasn't anything doing there, felt the power in the first round. I think that he almost systematically like broke himself down mentally, because it was like, I don't like what I'm feeling from the hands. I don't like what I'm seeing when I'm trying to take him down and getting nowhere. What do I have left in round 3? And
Yeah.
that's just, I think he just devolved. That's just the note that I had. He devolved, by round 3, and then it just turned into a spar by round 3, because both guys were just poking each other with shots at that point.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Alonzo Menifee is some dude that I'm praying can get up out of there, because I think Julius Walker should have been the prospect that took his spot. But I get on short notice, and you have somebody who's going against somebody who's ranked. You probably don't want that person to jump right into the rankings. But coming into this fight, Omar Sy, if he would have done what I expected him to do and has wrestled his ass off and just, I compare before this fight, I compared him to somebody like Miktabek Orabai. He's somebody who has relentless wrestling. If he doesn't get it, he's going to go back to the feet, and he's going to shoot again. And then he'll get you, and he'll grab you, and he'll stay on your back. But he just had none of that. And I think that's what's unfortunate, because we get to see Menifee skate by again. And I know he's just not there's a reason that he's plus 500. Like, it's because he's not that good. And Omar Sy should have had the game plan to win, but I don't know, just didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that also we need to keep in mind that all of the great wrestling that we saw from C in the past was like against Tuco Tokos. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to keep the opponent in perspective as well. Going in and trying to get Menifee to the ground was always going to be a big challenge. So he really should have started that a lot earlier and stuck to it, like you were saying. From round 1, just continuous smothering pressure, hopefully getting the takedown at some point. But even if not, yeah, the crowd is going to boo either way, because they were fucking going ape shit by the inactivity in round 2. But it's like, if they're going to be upset by a striking affair that's not really that exciting, or you doing at least a serviceable job of trying to get yourself towards something that could be an advantage, go for the thing that's going to get you towards an advantage, as opposed to going toe to toe ish, which he didn't even really do. Because like I said, he was not, I don't want to say scared, but he certainly did not like getting hit by Alonzo Menifee.
Yeah, I can't explain this performance. This one was hurtful, because when you go into, like, again, we talk about these lower market areas. France is it's a region that gets a lot of flack for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of it is unreasonable, and it's ignorant. But when you have somebody that you're rooting for, and you're putting the chips in somebody from that low market area, and they just don't perform, it's like you just get, I don't know, the same things are going to be said, but I mean, you just can't even defend it at this point, because like, you can't say, well, he just walked down and got a W in the way that you said he wouldn't, because nobody has done it before from France. Nobody's a grappler from France. But now I sit here and I say, well, fucking Nora Cornell can get a submission. Why can't fucking Omar Sy?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully Frez Zayam goes out there and pulls a sub off at some point.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, Alonzo Menifee pulls the upset off. Shout out to anybody who picked him, because Omar Sy certainly killed a lot of parlays with that performance.
Well, it's another one. It's like minus 800. It's like, can you even like put money on it and just, I don't know, like, is it? And that's where I was talking about at the beginning. Is like, I looked at the numbers and I thought to myself, is it worth stressing my whole night for like $5? Like, I'm not going to make anything off these.
Well, that's the problem, is that I think a lot of people will put that like heavy favorite on, like put it on a parlay that they're already confident about as just like a sweetener. And, then you end up killing the entire parlay, even though you thought it was a slam dunk. So
yeah.
Oh, well. All right, moving on to another one of the more interesting fights of the evening. Commentary started this off by saying, this is Mansour Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage. Commentary said, chaos follows Cody Brundage into every match that he's in. And my note back to that was, no fucking shit, because I have no clue how the hell Cody Brundage continuously ends up in these fights that are just wacky circumstances. He is constantly having some weird shit happen in these fights time and time again. I think that the only fight I can think of was his last fight, the one that he won, where it was just like a normal standard fight.
The last fight that he's coming off of was the no contest with the other 3 named guy.
No. He had a fight in between that. He had a fight where he won, because I remember thinking like, oh, you finally.
The Marquez. yeah, the last fight was a unanimous decision loss to. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm reading the same thing. Razak Hassan, yeah, that was the no contest. Yes, he knocked out Julian Marquez. Yes, you're right.
Yes.
My
So there,
apologies.
yeah. So I'm saying, I mean, like, finally, that's the only one I can think of in like the last five that has been just a standard down the line fight. I
Mhm.
mean, he like it's just weird shit follows Cody Brundage, and I don't understand it. But here we are yet again. So what did you think of it?
Well, let me first ask, what did you think of Cody Brundage and his hair transplant? Is it working out for him?
I mean, that I didn't immediately
How are
make
you guys
note of
not
it.
picking
So.
up on this? Like, they'll show up one fight and they'll have like the crown, from where they get like the the fair follicles in place, and then the next fight it's all bushy, right? But then
But
you can
he's had it
still
for a while, though. No.
maybe he probably got it after. I don't know. He just got probably a bonus after the last knockout, buddy.
I thought we were talking about this. Now that you say that, I think that we might have been talking about this on the last time that we talked about him. So it might have been a little bit. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm used to it at this point.
But either way, so coming into this fight, you have 2 rounds of absolute snooze fest, by the way. This one was really drowsy for the first 2 rounds. I mean, you can look at the striking numbers. They literally didn't strike until the 3rd round. In the first minute, they decided to throw all the punches for the entirety of the fight. It's actually pretty nuts. The 3rd round that they had, well, the 30 seconds of a 3rd round they had compared to the rest of the fight, because it was night and day difference. These guys tried to come out here and kill each other in the first 30 seconds of that fight. And what unfortunately happened is that they got into a nasty flurry, and there was a little head clash, and Mansour Abdul Malik knocked Cody Brundage out. That is my point of view. That's exactly how I see it. Now, what exactly happened in the judging and what happened with the officiating is a little different. They decided that the head clash was enough to make a case that there is not going to be a knockout for this bout. We're going to end it by going to the judge's decision and scoring the bout, which is interesting enough that this happened. But I want to make note that this ruined of everybody's day. Everybody that put Mansoor down for knockout at minus 330. Think about that one guy in the world who thought he was a genius by going Mansoor by decision, because like, oh, it's a long shot. It's never going to hit. But like if it does, and then they come down to shit like this and they're looking like fucking Jesus Christ because we get a decision call on a clear knockout victory. And going forward, what I want to note is that I think this will bring the numbers down on Mansoor, not because it's like a little fluky of a win, but on paper, now he's not on a knockout streak. Now he's not on a finish streak, because technically it's a decision win for him, which I think is pretty criminal, because that's ruining his trajectory a little bit.
Well, the thing that should lower his stock is not even that, in my opinion. The thing that should lower his stock is the slow start that he has in these fights. I didn't like the slow start in the Phil Rowe fight that we talked about, and I didn't like it here either. It's like one of those things where it's like, dude, we know what you're capable of when you start getting off of the blocks. But I mean, like, he is out the gate, and if it's one round, I don't like dropping any rounds. I don't think that you should ever drop a round intentionally. But like, for whatever reason, intentionally or otherwise, it's like, if you drop a round, not the greatest thing, but you can still make up 2. And then if it needs to be a decision, it's fine. But like, you're already coming into the later elements of the fight, later rounds of the fight, at a disadvantage when you do that. So it's a risky late game strategy type of gamble that you're getting into with that. And at worst, you're selling the fight altogether. Start quicker, my man. Like,
Mhm.
do the things that you did in round 3 in round 1. That's the biggest note to me. Is it's like, I don't know if this guy is in his own head starting the fight and then just like has to get the fire lit under his ass or whatever it was, because I noticed that in his last fight too. He was a little bit of a slow starter in that one. Took a while
I
for him to get that knockout.
I think this is one of your patented handshake agreements. These dudes said for 2 rounds we're going to do nothing. And then something happened in between the second and third round, because the third round, Cody Brundage and Mansoor both decided to just bite down on the mouth guard, and one of us is going to go out, which is so interesting because the fight did not lend you to believe that this is what's going to happen. Sometimes, and not all the time, you can get a good judge of what the fight's going to play out as in the first 20 seconds. You can kind of see what they're going to do. You get a good feel for how they react to each other. This one right here, you had no signs to think. Like, this is one of the ones where you would take a piss and you'd come back and it'd be over and you'd be like, what the fuck did I miss? Like, what the fuck did I miss? But I think that if if this was the first 30 seconds of the fight, which is I think how you should view it. Don't be a hater. View this as a 30-second fight. That happened in the first round. They went at it. They went to war. And I would like to talk about the head clash because Cody Brundage is somebody who maybe he just has a frail skull or something because he does often have these DQ moments with head regarding incidences. The back of the head strikes with that Al Hassan, and then right here with the head clash. But in my opinion, and I do agree, head-butting somebody and getting head-butted, they're a little different, but they both were leaning in and throwing strikes. I don't think it was. I
Nah, not on this
I
one, man. I'll tell you how this one went
oh,
down though,
okay.
because what it was that Abdul Malik here enters. He goes in with the knee. He comes straight out the gate in that third round, just like running across the cage to throw the flying knee. So he enters with the knee, but the knee is not really what like did the damage. So like Brundage kind of I guess acknowledged what he was seeing like in that split second when he's like charging him, and so he's kind of staying a little bit closer away. Like he didn't like go far out to engage, and then like while Cody was on the cage, Abdul Malik sort of flings his whole upper half of his body forward, and that's when the head clash happened. So that's I think the issue here is it's like because in the watch along, people in the chat were saying, "Oh, he was leading with his head." I was like, I wouldn't say that he was leading with his head. It was just that he over like extended his entire upper body to throw a downward strike, and his head just followed. And in the positioning was just a little weird. So I really can't be too mad at Brundage about this because I mean it was a legitimate like bang on the head kind of deal.
I think it also has to do with the stance. They were in opposite stances, and they were clashing heads. But the fight was, they were coming together and clashing heads more up until the end of it. It just happened to be this one that did the trick kind of deal. But Mansoor doesn't have the reputation of somebody who's a dirty fighter or doing something out of the ordinary. The unfortunate thing is Cody Brundage is somebody who has a reputation of embellishing and trying to sell things to get the fights to go a certain way. Do I think this is one of those cases? Probably not. But unfortunately, with the reputation that you have, it can only lead people to believe a certain amount of things.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. When it comes to Brundage with like being an actor over here, like I've never
Four-time
really
Oscars, buddy.
see that's the thing though, is that I've never really considered him like in that same category as other people. Like the stuff with Al Hassan, like he did take a bunch to the
Charles
back of the
went and
head. I
ate
mean,
that shit from Chandler, and he
yeah,
didn't cry one bit about it.
it doesn't make
So
it right though. I mean, either way, I
hey,
like
you don't get a lot of right in this sport. So
fair. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate that Al Hassan. I mean, excuse me, that Abdul Malik like went in and like did turn up at that point. But like, you got to be more in control of yourself when you're going in the way that he was going in. He went in reckless. He was at fault. I mean, I can't. Look, it is what it is. Cody Brundage aside, if he had done it to any other fighter, like imagine the toughest fighter that you can think of, it was the same situation. This would be a whole different conversation.
I see head clashes all the time, and a lot of them just take the little nick and they shake it off.
How many of them are coming full force all the way across the cage, though?
I didn't really see it like that though. I thought they both were leaning in, swinging a big old hook, and your head. You gotta have the head motion. What's your head just gonna stay? Like you can't throw. Whatever you want to say. Physicality. The human body can only do so many things, guys, and to throw the things that they were doing, your head's going to lean a little forward, especially if you're trying to reach him. So I just think a head clash, especially because they were doing it all the way up until the end of it. Like it wasn't something that I was like, oh my God, they bumped heads. It's like, well, they were doing it already. Like every time they would lean in, they're just nicking each other. So I don't know. It's not like Malik is somebody that you're like, oh, this guy, like Michael Chandler, like, oh, he's gonna fucking hammer the back of his head, like he's gonna fucking shit like that. It's like, they both leaned in, they were going for the kill. Head clashes happen, especially when you're in that ultra instinct kind of finish mode. It's like you can't have perfection, so a couple weeks ago, you had the fucking dipshit Medeiros who stomped on bro's leg. It was illegal. Probably wasn't the best thing for him to do because he probably could have got fucked over with the officiating somehow, some way. But like in my mind, he at least was trying to hurt bro. Like he was trying to inflict some damage, and I think that's what Mansoor. Not that he was leading with his head to inflict damage, but like he was
He
throwing
was
his
in the
body.
moment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
yeah, I
throwing his
got you.
body into it.
Yeah, and I'm with that. And actually, I mean, to that end, I would like. I mean, I'm guess I'm being the devil's advocate for Cody Brundage over here a little bit, but I do give him a little bit of credit for at the time, like being willing to trade
Oh,
blows
he
with
looked
him.
like
I
a
mean,
fucking Chad for a
yeah,
second.
he
Yeah, he
really
was
did.
good.
He stared him down. He was like, "All right, you really want to throw like that? We're going to throw like that then." So, I mean,
Yeah.
I give him a little bit of credit there, but yeah, just an unfortunate way for this to end for Abdul Malik because, he had been on such a nice streak. Whether or not it lowers his stock as far as like on paper, I mean, I don't think that
He
it
was
really is
never
going
the
to.
highest touted prospect. I mean, middleweight is a little different because we don't have that many prospects showing up, but I don't think he was ever somebody that it's like eh, the Cody Brundage was not going to raise his stock unless he flatlined him in fucking 2 seconds kind of deal. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, and so I always thought that he was a little bit better of a prospect, and I think he still could be. I want to see him start a little bit quicker is the big note. Obviously we shouldn't have to wait till round 3 for all of this stuff to start. But as you had mentioned, the illegal strike leads to the finish over halfway through the fight, so the fight ends up getting scored up to the point of the foul. That's how that ended up working there, and for that reason, Abdul Malik wins by a technical decision. As you said, that is very disappointing to anybody who had him by knockout. But another interesting note for this, just as a side piece to everything, was that Fitzgerald on the commentary was all turned around too, because he was describing the decision as if it was being made for only 2 rounds when all of the stuff that we were talking about took place in the 3rd round. So it was like, he's like, yeah, well, those 2 rounds, get scored up until that point, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like, oh no, excuse me. It was actually 3 rounds. My bad. And I was like, all right,
Right.
you're just adding to the confusion of everything, already confusing situation.
Yeah, I don't know. This was definitely interesting. I wanted to make a note that I have been meaning to make all night. I should have brought it up at the very beginning, so I'm sorry that I'm throwing it in now. Joe Martinez was the fucking commentator, like the announcer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about it?
it wasn't Bruce Buffer.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, Buff's not going to work every single event. He's got to.
But we're in Atlanta though, and I thought it was kind of nice that or not was it not Atlanta,
Yeah,
was it?
it was Atlanta.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, yeah. Give Joe something to do while we're not in the Apex for the next, 9 weeks or whatever. Bruce Buffer, I agree he could take some time off, and it's nice to see Joe because I do like Joe Martinez. I think he brings a different vibe to it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And he's also a very sharp dressed man, which I don't think he gets enough credit for because of the flourish and the, all of the regalia that Buffer brings with his
Yeah,
jackets and everything. But Martinez's strips is always really on point. So,
I agree.
yeah.
So happy
So,
for him. Happy for
yeah,
him to be there.
absolutely. The last note that I have about this fight was that I did think it was hilarious that Abdul Malik in his post-fight interview said, "That's a good opponent right there. I don't care what anybody says."
I know, I know.
Yikes.
Yep, that shit was nuts. Yeah, he was swearing to everybody and everybody. Cody Brundage is a very good opponent, and I'm very happy to have faced him. It's like, brother, go lie somewhere else. But either way.
Yeah, so weird situation there. Weirdness follows Cody Brundage yet again, but a win for Abdul Malik is a win, and he continues on his streak. So we'll see what they pair him up with next, and we'll see if he can actually come out the gate swinging a little bit more than in these previous 2 fights, because that's going to be the thing that I think if he's going to have a downfall, that's going to be a big part of it.
Hell yeah, I agree.
All right, speaking of not inexplicable at this point, but certainly monumental downfalls as far as careers go. Cody Garbrandt versus Hani Barcelos. Yeah, all right. Cody looked good out the gate. Boxing was sharp as expected. Did sting Barcelos, and instead of engaging after he had him hurt, decided to showboat. What a
He,
fucking idiot.
he used the force. I don't know if you caught it. He like, and it was funny because the camera turned and like the cameraman like shook or whatever. Like right when it was actually a pretty
Yeah,
funny
that was
moment.
funny.
Like
Yeah.
Cody like definitely had some aura right there. But it's hilarious that was the only moment that Cody Garbrandt had in this fight because he did not a damn thing else for 2 other rounds. And the fact that this random jobber, Hani Barcelos, is somehow making his way through the fucking people that we know and love. It's starting to make me mad because, this is not some great fighter. Cody Garbrandt, you were at one time the pinnacle of the division, and now you are just going out here and looking sad. I don't know. Like I hate to
Well,
break it.
well, and that's I hate to have to beg to differ on the people we know and love. No, we know Cody Garbrandt, but no love is certainly an accurate nickname for him at this point, considering that he has had the spottiest career of all time. I mean, this dude has been all over the map as far as like wins, losses, everything else. I mean, he's so inconsistent, and this fight is a very an accurate portrayal of the exact reason that you cannot back the Cody Garbrandt horse. You're saying that Hani Barcelos is just some random jobber. I don't think that he really is that. I think he is exactly the type of guy who beats these people that deserve these losses. Peyton Talbot exposed the holes in his game. Cody Garbrandt just waited out the boxing. That's really all that happened here, because Cody, yeah, he showed some improved takedown defense, which I do appreciate, because that was his big downfall against Figueiredo. But Barcelos still able to get him down at the end of the first round, and then he lost steam. Cody did so early into the second round. I mean, the slowdown was so significant. The speed was not there. And when you take the speed away from the striking of Cody Garbrandt, there's nothing left. And
Yeah.
that's what I think is really the unfortunate thing here.
Yeah, I agree. This one was definitely a tough watch because Cody Garbrandt has the X factor. There's going to be a moment where he flatlines somebody, and he could have had that moment in this if he would have just pressed on it. He could have got a finish in the first round, but he just doesn't have that anymore. He's just in it for the game now. It's not really because he wants to be the best. He doesn't have to go through Hani Barcelos to get to the top. It's like, I'm just in the UFC now. Like, that's just all that there is to it.
Yeah, fair. I mean, you know, Cody also like loses a lot of his technicality throughout the fight. Like he deteriorates in quality, which you would think that even if his speed like decreases a little bit, he would still be able to have the accuracy to maybe make up for it a little bit. But it's just like he really unravels in fights. And I mean, Grant, this is Cody without getting knocked out. Think about that. Cody Garbrandt is notorious, no chin, no love, no chin. He didn't get knocked out here. This is just him down the line going into a decision loss.
Mhm.
And I think that should speak even farther volumes. It's not like he was in some kind of crazy firefight and other guy got the better of him. This was just an outclassing in the skills department. And I mean, I think that, first of all, I think that Hani Barcelos needs a little bit more respect on his name at this point. And then secondly, I think that Cody Garbrandt he's just not that guy. And we need to fully come to that realization. No more thinking that this could be the time.
Well, it's the UFC's fault for giving us the false hope. They give him opponents like fucking Brian Keller and then let him knock him out. And it's like, oh my God, no, he's going to make a career resurgence. And then he doesn't. And then we're just like, oh, well, we knew he kind of fucking sucked now too. So like, I don't know, similar could be said about Dominic Reyes, but he's actually making the comeback something more than just knocking out the dude who gets knocked out and then losing to, someone, it's actually crazy. Now that I think about him in the Figueiredo matchup, it's like, why the fuck would Cody Garbrandt get that opportunity? I know it was UFC 300, but like Figueiredo is somebody that needs to be fighting good, like great people. And Cody Garbrandt for a time was great, but Figueiredo was way past what Cody Garbrandt was at the time.
Yeah, I know that's absolutely facts for sure. There was also a weird moment in this fight. I don't know if you caught it when the graphics team fucked up entirely and the entire screen went black. So shout out to Adam Martin for getting a full screen tweet in this fight.
Yeah.
The whole screen was black and just his tweet was there. Yeah, they somebody messed up on the graphics, but yeah.
Actually,
Really,
it's Threads now, buddy.
Oh, yes, you're right. It is Threads, isn't it? All right. Well, shout out to Adam Martin on Threads then.
Yeah,
But
sure.
either way, I mean, they're really I didn't have too much else to say about this. I thought it was a solid performance for Barcelos. I thought it was a very not textbook. I think that he did need to get through a little bit of adversity. I think that Cody screwed himself up monumentally by not engaging when he had him hurt. That should really be another big takeaway from this. The fight IQ is also not there. He was choosing
Never
to
really.
Right. Yeah. Never really been there in the first place. But this is certainly more apparent when you've got a guy on his back and instead of engaging with him and finishing the fight, you decide to, like you said, use the force. He went into his samurai pose. Cody Garbrandt he just bothers me at this point really more than anything. And it's like every time I hear him saying, oh, best camp of all time, my improvements, this and that, I'm just like, all right,
I got a new tattoo, everything that he's been talking about.
Yeah. Take your sword eye tattoo and take it somewhere else.
I can't believe that it's not like right. Like it's not in the right spot. Like I can't believe they didn't get that right. Like out of all the places that you want to get a tattoo, you got to make sure that it is 100% on point. I don't know if he was like closing his eyes and squinting when they did it, but like it's just off center, and it's very noticeable because it is a very unique tattoo, of course. So people are going to notice it. It is on your face, brother. But you might have to get it. Do the Mike Tyson one. Just get it covered up. Do Tyson. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. See, something needs to happen there because, yeah. Well, what we were talking about on the watch along is that what he could do, since he is such a tattoo guy, is that you've got the sword going through the eye. You could tattoo a martini glass across the eye, and then over the like bulk of your face, and then you have like a full dirty martini with the olive as the eye. I like
That
this
is
idea.
okay. I like this. I think I can get behind the whole martini glass. Okay, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
He
So
seems like a martini guy, anyways. Why wouldn't he want a martini on his face? You know.
yeah, well, again, you can do all of that very far away from an octagon, at least not in the UFC.
We actually have to talk about it because we're talking about his tattoos. I don't know if you noticed it, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I am almost certain Cody Garbrandt has sideburns tattooed on.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's got sideburn tats. Yeah, sure. Come down, little peak on the ends.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, the whole thing apparently was that he got the sword because he was getting his armpit tattooed.
Well, people would talk about they were talking about that during the fight too. They were like, "Man, that's an awkward spot to get a tattoo." And I was wondering, like, did I miss him? Like, put his arms up or something? But I guess that is just talk of the town. Cody Garbrandt's got his armpit tattooed. You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, the only time that you would really see it is when he was getting introduced. He put
Yeah.
his arm up, and because that's I had said I was like, why would you ever get your armpit tattooed? Who's ever going to see that? But then I was like, oh yeah, I guess he does raise his arm before fights, so you get a little shot of it
What
there.
was it like?
It's just a design. It's like it's like diamonds going out in a pattern. Yeah,
Okay.
dude. No offense to any tattoo people out there, but it's like I do think that people get to a certain point with tattoos where it's like the actual meaning kind of gets lost because they just like tattoos so much. He's definitely one of those guys. It's like,
Mhm.
just throw ink anywhere and it can be whatever and he'll just be good with it.
Yeah, there's some people who just they want generic tattoos, the spider webs or flames, a skull or something, an anchor. I'm a big fan of the anchor tattoo, guys. Don't get me wrong.
I
But
mean, and all of them are cool if they have some connection to you or whatever. And even if they don't, it's like you can do it in
true.
a way that it's like that it's cool still. But like sometimes, like if you're a tattoo person, it's just you become like a coloring book.
There's a classy way to have tattoos, guys. Come on, let's keep it neckline, sleeves. Come on, we're business professionals here. Let's keep it.
Yeah, well, something like that. But either way, yeah, I was just very, very kicking myself for thinking that Cody Garbrandt might have turned a corner on this fight.
Yeah, yeah. Back to the fight. Yeah, no, this one sucked. I had more fun talking about the tattoos just now.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, anyway, decent win for Honey Barcelos, and that's about it, I suppose.
Mhm.
Um,
Hey,
moving
you
on.
know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Yo, whoever the fuck keeps getting in the chat spamming your fucking link, I'm tired of seeing it. You hear me? You see me? I'm tired of seeing it. If you do it one more time, I'll say something maybe one more time, but I don't care that
Yeah,
much.
for
So
real. Yo, quit with this. Like, do you really think that that's a good way to get people to like check your stream out is by being a fucking dickhead? Like,
yeah,
I mean,
facts.
maybe, I don't know, maybe modern internet, perhaps it is, but either way, before we move on to the next fight, I did want to mention on a more serious note that the broadcast brought up Ben Askren's illness. And I had seen some rather disturbing news about that. So just wanted as a general note to say that apparently, and it's Chael Sonnen, so I don't know if it's 100% accurate or if it's something that he heard or whatever. Broadcast did not say this, but I had seen Chael say that apparently Ben Askren might need a lung transplant. That is extremely disturbing and very, very serious. So obviously we all wish Ben Askren a speedy recovery, hopefully. And
I am not the smartest person. Does a lung transplant mean it has to be a dead person that he like because you can't give up a lung, right? Like, can you live with one lung? Like,
I believe you can, but it is very ill-advised. It would generally be coming from an organ donor.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
like I said, I think that there are like rare instances where a person can survive with a single lung, and someone can donate. I think again, I'm not an expert on this either, but I believe that is the case. But optimally you would want an organ donor, and that would
Yeah.
generally be a
Yeah,
deceased
no,
person.
that whole situation is pretty screwy, unfortunately, but,
Yeah.
and I'm not the biggest fan of Ben Askren, but hey, unfortunately, times like this, we all gotta, it's a community thing, man.
Oh, yeah,
Shout out to
same.
him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ben Askren, as career-wise, you can say any number of different things, but obviously you don't want to see him in a position like this. Pneumonia is no joke with staphylococcal pneumonia type of situation, which is what it seems like he has in a very aggressive form of it. So,
Yeah, hopefully we actually get some like solid news. Like, when the recovery happens,
of
obviously we're
course, yeah.
being positive. The family reaches out and says, like, Ben's good kind of deal. Cause right now we are just getting mixed kind of information. We got fucking Chael and DC. We got the two tough coaches over here getting the news. Like, I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, hopefully, like you said, hopefully we get some good news soon. We're pulling for you, Ben Askren. Best wishes.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, with that out of the way, let's talk about the worst fight on this card. And you were talking about Michael Chiesa's fight. This Michael Chiesa made this fight to me look like the BMF fight. This is Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petroski. Yet another hard spar on this card that the crowd was not fucking with.
Yeah, no, this one sucked because Andre Petroski did not come out with the intensity that I thought he was going to have. He didn't have the game plan that I thought he was going to have. He wasn't able to utilize his skill set the way that I thought he was going to be. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
Edmund
yeah.
Shabazian, though,
Mhm.
the only thing that I can note about this performance, and I'm telling you, if you don't have this in the notes, we are going to talk about this every time this dude fights. Do you see how his abdomen
Oh,
is?
he has the Davy Grant ribs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that like protruding rib cage. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very noticeable.
it is like almost disturbing to see. Like you look at it and you're like, is he hurt? Like, is that like a hernia or something? Like, in my opinion, you should target that area. It might hurt, but like, yo, it looks like it would hurt him if you punched the shit out of it.
Oh yeah,
So
no, literally said that on the broadcast. Like targeting that the rib cage on both sides looks like it would be extremely painful because yeah, it is very noticeable that he's got those protruding lower ribs there. And yeah, again, the only other person I can readily think of that has that to that extent is Davy Grant.
yeah, no, it's unfortunate. But either way, this fight was super boring. Edmund Shabazian is supposed to be some killer in the first round. I could have told you that he was not going to finish Andre, which Um, fortunately, he didn't finish him because in the third round it got close, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But 3 rounds of this where it was just boring kickboxing. Andre was not able to get the grappling where he wanted it to be, and his striking is just not the greatest. And these dudes really just didn't want to commit to firing at each other. I think that was the main thing.
Yeah, no, that absolutely it is. I mean, neither guy wanted to make this dirty. They didn't want to mix it up in any meaningful way, and Petroski wouldn't close the distance to get the takedowns initiated. So
Mhm.
Shabazian just landed shots from range. I mean, it was pretty like standard as far as like if that's going to be the dynamics, this is the outcome that you're going to get. Petroski should have eventually threw caution to the wind and either punched his way into a takedown or tried to overwhelm Edmund with his strikes at some point. He did not do that. So yeah, you end up with the fight that you get.
Yeah, and so in the third round, it actually almost got close to a finish, which was pretty worrisome. Edmund Shabazian throws a high kick, and Petroski blocks it, but then he clearly is hurt. Like something is wrong. It's either his hand or his forearm was broke after the kick, is what I assumed. Because he obviously was hurt, and he started holding it, and then he goes down, and that's what I thought they were going to call it. I'm like, damn. Well, unfortunate for Petroski, but he actually did a very good job of fighting through it. He got back to his feet. And he didn't throw a punch with the arm that he blocked the kick with. So that makes me believe that he did hurt it because like he probably didn't want to fucking hurt it anymore by throwing it. But even in the post fight, he wasn't like holding it or anything. So I don't really know what was happening, but something went on where he said, "Ow, maybe is the time to just go." But he didn't. He didn't. So I appreciate him for continuing to fight. But Edmund Shabazian, bro, if you're some killer, like, bro, Andre Petroski's on hands and knees. Like, you should go destroy this guy.
Well, yeah. So I think it was a body kick that hurt him. I thought anyway, but I'd have to go back and see exactly what it was. But to your point that you often make about like fighters not exploiting noticeable weaknesses, this is definitely another example of that. Like Shabazian let him off the hook, no follow up shots to the body. If it was a body shot, that was the thing. Either way, I mean, I identify the vulnerability and then exploit it. because it's just like one way or another, he really was not like he was not. It didn't seem like he was actively aware that there was like he wasn't aware in the way that you should be when you have like the opening. He didn't smell the blood in the water, as they
Well,
say.
yeah, he's a dude that gets a knockout in the first round and he walks off, and that's all he knows how to do. When it gets down to the deep water and somebody who's actually going to fight back, not necessarily in this one because I think Andre Petroski should have been finished. The ref probably should have stepped in, like, yo, you're not fighting back, like you're literally on your face, like in a ball kind of deal. But Edmund Shabazian just gives me, and what comes to my mind, and I hate to make this comparison, but it's like there's like a little privilege that he kind of fights with now that I see it. If he don't get that first round knockout, well, shit, he ain't got nothing else for you. I mean, he ain't gonna get it in the second or third probably. So I don't know. That's just the way that I see it now. If Edmund Shabazian goes up against a complete plumber, I mean, yeah, he'll probably get a first round knockout. But if it's somebody who actually is gonna go to war at middleweight, I mean, shit. I mean, Fluffy Hernandez knows how to go to war. So I'll tell you what we can do real quick if we want to see this dude in some deep water. But other
Yeah.
than that, I nothing really too crazy to me. If he's not going to be able to knock out Andre Petroski and not be able to finish him when he has the opportunity, there's not really much for me to say.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I did have him winning this fight going into it. I initially had thought he was going to be able to, at least outstrike Petrosky, which he did. But Petrosky not doing any takedown work was really the big decider there. And then, him being hurt and then not following up. It's like all the elements of this fight kind of led into it not being great in the slightest, and that was really unfortunate for as high up on the card as it was. So it was very funny to hear the crowd booing, being crossfade into a lovely bachata version of "Go Your Own Way" by Fleetwood Mac. So I like that it was like boo into the, like it was. I thought that was an interesting, transition there. But yeah, this fight was really kind of just ass, and again, it is very high up on the card, so it really was like a thud on what was already not the greatest card. It was like, man, this should have been like opener if it was going to be this bad.
Yeah, I came into this and I said this was a really good card, but now that we go through the last like six fights, it's like
Yeah, exactly.
maybe I overstayed my welcome on that one.
This fight was the one, when I do the rewatches that I do after the watch alongs, I'll usually break it up. I'll watch a number of fights in chunks and stuff. When I got to this fight, I was just like, man, I'm done for the night. Like I'll come back to this in the morning or whatever. Like, I could not extend to watch this fight again after having watched all of the other ones leading up to it. So
Yeah,
yeah. So
100%.
anyway, yep. All right. Well, let's move on to the co-main event. This was actually a decent fight out of all of these lackluster ones. Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. This was a pretty active fight and a close fight for a good amount of it, I thought. I mean, two judges gave this 30-27 to Rose. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous that there's no fucking way in hell that Miranda did not at least win one of those rounds. But anyway, what did you think of this fight?
Well, I think your question is going to be answered. How Rose got two 30-27s, and if you look at the amount of money that she made for this fucking card, you'll see exactly why she got two 30-27s. This girl made $500,000 on this fight, more than Kamaru Usman, who is the main eventer, who is a former fucking GOAT Hall of Famer, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Rose Namajunas coming here making the most amount of money. She obviously is getting sucked off by everybody backstage because she's some empowering woman. I'm telling you, I think that's what it might be. Bald chick, empowering.
It is true. I mean, we were talking about it in the Discord saying, when the fighter pay was released and why Rose of all people was the highest paid athlete on this card is a little confusing considering as, it's like if you go over the checklist, oh, well, she's a former champion. You had one of the greatest former champions of all time in the main event. So, I mean, there's not too much of a leg to stand on as to why Rose was the one who got the highest pay out of everybody. I don't know if that's the reason. It's certainly, I would hope not coming into play as far as the judging goes, but either way, I don't know. I mean, it's a separate issue because I thought Miranda did pretty good in this fight. Is I guess what I'm really trying to say.
That's the exact point. Is Miranda did amazing in this fight. I don't think maybe didn't win, but 30-27s is crazy because in my opinion, first two rounds went to Maverick. Second round was close, but Maverick turned it around and actually stole the round, which I think is key. And Rose, dude, 30-27, it's like I can't get over is just like how much they glorify the performances by this girl. She does nothing for 3 rounds and they give her fucking 2 10-8s damn near. Like I don't know what the fuck they be talking about
Well,
sometimes.
I mean, she didn't do nothing for 3 rounds. I mean, she did drop Miranda in the 3rd, which I think was the big catalyst to all of this, but
They gave her a knockdown, but I've seen plenty of knockdowns and they don't score and they don't look as bad as that. She got knocked in her, she even says she has a torn ACL. So and she did like tweak her leg. So she
yeah,
kind of fell over after. It wasn't like she got put on her fucking ass, like Rose is bro, they fucking over embellish everything. I'm surprised they didn't give her a sub attempt because I think that's arguably the thing that she did get was a great sub attempt. She almost probably got her in the choke, but then Maverick able to flip out of it, transition into the triangle, almost seals the deal, but saved by the bell situation. Rose actually got out of it before that, but saved by the bell situation, stole the round in my opinion. Third round, sure, you can give it to Rose, but like, bro, for somebody who lands 46 strikes in a fight, and we've seen this a lot, how the fuck do you get a unanimous decision? Like, I mean, I'm just serious. Like, if you don't outstrike your opponent by 25 to 50, how can you say that you convincingly won 3 rounds? Like, seriously, I don't know.
no, yeah, there's no way. There's no way. I mean, it was like you said, second round was close. Yeah, it could have been 1-1. I was leaning closer towards 2-0 to Maverick at that point myself. The drop, I think, really like played a big part in how these judges were looking at it, even though of course they should be scoring round by round. I still think that the drop maybe tip the scales for a couple of them a little bit harder. But yeah, this was some ridiculous judging as far as not. I mean, one judge at least gave her the 1 round that she should have gotten. I mean, the first round, both the first and the second were close-ish, but like I thought that Miranda was moving really nicely. Both of them were advancing and landing shots, but they like Miranda just had a little bit of an edge in a couple of those instances. And I mean, and then like you said, she almost got that head and arm that was really close for a minute there.
Mhm.
So it's very baffling to me how anybody would say, "Oh yeah, Rose smoked her through 3." That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah, no, Miranda was definitely landing the better strikes when it was in the stand-up, and in the grappling, Rose did do the control time, but she didn't have the effectiveness. Miranda didn't need 6.5 minutes of control time to get the deepest sub of the matchup, to make it the deepest water that we've seen. Sure, Rose can get a drop in the third round, and I do agree sometimes a killer third round will steal away what somebody did for the first 2 rounds. Somehow, I know they're scoring it round by round, but it's just not the way that it happens. They just slide that piece of paper at the bottom and they just fill it out again. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Legit. Yeah, that's
so
absolutely, I think, the case there.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, really not too much else to say about it. It was a pretty spirited exchange, I would say. I liked this fight. Miranda coming in on a nice win streak, so that is unfortunately derailed for her. And Rose just stays being Rose. She's talking about it in her post fight, I think with Charlie Arnold. Backstage interview kind of thing, saying, yeah, well, I had my reservations, my nerves and this and that, like everything else. And it's just like goes right back to the same criticism that I always have about Rose. It's too hard to back Rose based on the knowledge of the fragility of her mental state. So, you got good version of Rose in this fight to an extent, at least. I mean, still very competitive, but yeah, going forward, it's too risky of an endeavor to really be on like the Rose re-hype train.
No, I mean, we're never getting back on that. I mean, I'm tired of seeing it because Rose, sure at the time, but as of right now, I mean, I'm not seeing somebody that needs to be pushed into the spotlight as much as Rose is. Like, this is not somebody. Listen, this ain't no Melissa Mullins, guys. But I can make my jokes, but still, you can make names and make cases for people who are hotter prospects that deserve to be in the moment. Miranda Maverick deserved to have this win because she was on a win streak. She was doing pretty good. To get robbed here is pretty bad. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it does feel like it should have been the stocks going in different directions with this fight, but now Rose just continues to sort of swirl around in the conversation in her new weight class. Miranda, is going to have to work a little bit harder, which is unfortunate.
And they wonder why the fans are talking about the divisions being stale is because we can't have a good cycle of movement through them because like bro 30-27 is just downright ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
I really can't believe it.
No, I agree. I agree completely. So, whether or not you thought that Rose won the fight, with 2 rounds, maybe I'll give you an argument that there might have been 2 rounds possibly for her if you go point by point. But in the moment, it definitely felt like Miranda was up 2. And then that third round, she got dropped, and that changed everything. So, either way, that is what the judges had to say. And, if you don't finish the fight, this is what you get, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the main event of the evening, Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley. I guess those knees aren't so bad after all. I felt like in that post-fight interview, he was talking directly to me,
Mhm.
saying that, everybody online likes to talk about my knees. Well, shut the fuck up because I can still do what I do. I suppose that he can, but also that goes hand in hand with the fact that Joaquin Buckley has 0 takedown defense and ability to get back to his feet.
Yeah, that Joaquin Buckley kid is just not what we thought he was. And I actually was, I don't know, I won't say that I'm the originator of saying that I'm on the Buckley hype train. I'm not somebody who's a diehard Buckley fan, but I will admit that I did start to believe in him after I've seen the performances that he's put on. I will agree that this was in place for him to have a good stepping stone in his career, keep building the resume of great fighters that he could just walk through to get to the championship spot. It did feel like he was a UFC product in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we were all duped once again. I don't know what the problem was. Joaquin Buckley. It seemed like the first round he laid there and he got up with a good mentality, like, oh yeah, now you're gonna be tired. Like now we're ready to go. Second round did the exact same thing. Got up with a mentality like, oh, now we're still ready to go. We're still ready to go. Never really got out of that mentality. And then I want to make this point. Kamaru Usman is so good at what he does that everybody is banking on a Hail Mary in the fifth round. Like, every time the fifth round starts with Usman, they're like, I can feel it. Do you guys feel that Leon Edwards moment coming? And I'm like, no fucking chance, brother. Like that's how good he is. Is like you have to just pray to God somebody pulls something out their ass to beat him. That's how fucking good he is.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly the right way to look at it. If you want to be a little bit more of a hater, which I feel like I am in this instance, it's really more on the fact that Buckley just had 0 answers on the ground. I mean, like, if you saw the positioning of these takedowns and where he was relative to the cage for most of this, his back was almost on the cage for the majority of these takedowns. I mean, it's 4 takedowns in 4 rounds. So, I mean, it was like he got taken down and stayed down for the entirety of the round for the most part. I mean, like starts on the feet. He had a couple of times on the feet where he had a couple of decent shots. Actually, Kamaru with some decent kicks on the feet as well, by the way. I think that's a point that's getting missed in the conversation by some people because, Kamaru, dangerous in striking as well. He talked about it in his post fight, and it still rings true. I mean, this guy has gotten some pretty good knockouts in his time as well. That to the side because that didn't happen here. But what did happen here is that a couple of little exchanges on the feet, Buckley, eventually realizing that he was in trouble on the feet, and he started to do like the Philly shell a little bit, kind of angling his body away to try to negate the takedown, cuts the angle, but still does not do anything with that because Kamaru, like you said, just too good. So time and time again, he is on his back against the cage with his legs cinched up by Kamaru Usman and just getting essentially ground and pounded and smothered. I mean, like, this is really something that needs to be overcome. Now, my thing was that when I was talking about it on the watch along, saying what I thought was going to happen, I had said 2 rounds, this happens. He gets taken down, gets held down. Eventually he finds the realization, or the team, the cornering steps in a little bit to say, this is what you need to do. The game planning might be there. Let Kamaru gas himself out a little bit with all of this activity, and then go in for some heavier striking on the feet. Unfortunately, that did not happen until the 5th round when Kamaru was definitely tired, and then Buckley had a little bit of success negating the takedowns. But even then, I still thought that this was low IQ for Buckley because he didn't throw the kitchen sink at him striking wise in the 5th round. It's like, bro, you're talking about how, oh yeah, he needed the Leon Edwards moment. It's like, in order to do that, you need to throw everything that you have now, and he didn't do that either. So, I mean, like, this is a very frustrating performance across the board, in my opinion, not only because of the takedowns, but because of the 5th round as well.
Yeah, no, this one was definitely hard to watch. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, there was only a few outcomes. It's Joaquin knocks him out, or somehow actually I remembered right before the fight, during fight week, I said, what are the odds that Buckley wins rounds 1 and 2, gasses out, and then Usman wins 3, 4, and 5? And somebody said it was likely, and somebody was like, may not be the most likely scenario, but I don't think I was ever in the right mind thinking Usman just walks out and smokes them just instant, like easily. And I want to make that point is because that's what I watched. I watched Usman win every single round damn near. But the fact there's a 48-47 on this board is fucking ridiculous.
I thought the exact same thing when I heard that. I was like, what world are you living in that Buckley won 2 of those rounds? There's no fucking way in hell.
And it's the same thing they do with Sugar Sean, and then I'll hear it for the rest of the time. When I say, Joaquin Buckley is not as good as people are saying, they'll be like, "Well, he won 2 rounds on Usman or something." It's like, well, they did the same thing with Sugar Sean. Oh, he won 2 rounds on Marab. Technically, it's like, no, the fuck, he did not. I watched it with my own eyes. Usman laid on top of him for every single round, and then in the last round, the striking was close. So whatever you want to say, Usman definitely won. They just hate to give a 50-45 because it makes the person that you're giving the title contention to, or a good, not title shot, but a good high value to, it makes them look so bad if you actually give them a 50-45, which I think is deserving in this performance. Like, I don't think that would be wrong. I think if
Yeah.
one judge gave a 50-45, I'd be like, that dude's got fucking nuts. He knows what the fuck he's on. Like,
Yeah, I could see it. I do think that the 5th round it's fine to give him that if you wanted to be charitable that way. I mean,
pity. Yeah.
he did enough striking wise to take the round, but he certainly did not do enough to win the fight, which is what he needed to do, and that's why it was so frustrating then. But I mean, this is just, again, it is what it is when you don't have any answers for what Kamaru is doing on the ground. And they were talking about the fact that Buckley like has a really insulated team. Like, I guess it's like, handpicked coaches, and like he's sort of like not part of a larger system. He might want to start thinking about branching out a little bit. I mean, I don't want to disrespect his team directly, but like, dude, if this is what your ground game is looking like, you need to get a ground game specialist on board immediately. I mean, and now granted, we have to look at it from the other side too, because Kamaru Usman is just the man. I mean, like,
He
when it
is.
comes to the ground game stuff, how can you deny it? Like, the thing that I saw in Kamaru that was the flex of the old greatness that he obviously still has is that he is so nice in staying active on the ground and continuing control through the bodily motions of his opponent. Like, anytime that Buckley was posturing up on one hand, he had an answer for that. If the legs were kicking out, he had an answer for that. If he was turning his body, he would turn his body the other way, had an answer there too. So it's like you are up against somebody who is doing this in his sleep at this point. I mean, like, Kamaru Usman can go out and do a performance like that all day long when it comes to the ground game. So if you're not going to be able to do it in the 5th round like you needed to, and you have no answers for 4 rounds on the ground, something needs to change for you, Joaquin. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah, you know what? The only thing that I walked away with this is, like you said, Joaquin Buckley in his wrestling, he showed a weakness here when it comes to defensive wrestling.
Yes.
The only thing that it makes me realize is that Ian Gary would smoke this guy. And I've been pretty high on Ian Gary, and a lot of people may not like it, but he is one of the most talented people in the division, and he knows how to exploit weaknesses, and he also has a very well-rounded game. It's not well-rounded because it's the above average of, like, he can do everything but more than the average person can do it. He's very, very good. And
Yeah.
Joaquin Buckley showed that he's not very, very good at one particular thing. Ian Gary loves to grapple these days, so I think this will be a great time to see him shoot 13 fucking takedowns. I'd love it.
Yeah, no, it's funny that you mention Ian Gary, because he came up. Somebody had asked, if Buckley wins this fight, what would you think about Ian Gary versus him? I think no. Well, the conversation actually started with Ian Gary versus Sean Brady, and I
Mhm.
had said that I think Sean Brady is a different beast when it comes to the wrestling. We don't have to talk about that specifically right now, but bringing it back to this conversation, yeah, I mean, seeing a performance like this, you're absolutely 10,000% correct. The grappling that Ian Gary has developed is he'll run circles around him on the ground. I mean, there's no two ways about it based on what we saw in this fight.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's not really too much more to say. Joaquin Buckley definitely let a lot of people down because he, like I said, he's supposed to be like the dark horse of the division. Like he's somebody that is on his way, well, was on his way to a title shot with a path that is kind of handcrafted to what he is good at with his skill set. And unfortunately, Kamaru Usman is still going to stick around. So I actually like that. I'm a big fan of Kamaru Usman. A lot of people don't like him because he's boring, decision merchant, whatever you want to say. I have no problem with him winning this one. This was a great performance to watch.
No, likewise. I have been a fan for quite some time. Throughout all of that criticism that you've heard for years, about his excitement factor, whatever. This is one of the most dominant champions that we've ever had in the welterweight division. Them talking about him being on the Mount Rushmore of UFC welterweights is absolutely accurate. And put some respect on his name the same way that he says to. I agree completely. I think that he deserves all of the respect. The fact that he's doing it at this advanced age is also impressive. And, he's talking a big game. He's saying he's going to go up and beat Bilal, and then he wants to fight JDM. And then he's talking about, two divisions and all this kind of stuff. It's like, dude, let that horse ride as long as it will go, because, this is the last time that he has to do that. And if he still is able to pull off performances like this, I'm more than comfortable allowing him to have the opportunity to try.
Yep, I agree. This was great.
Yeah, really, really nice. I do think that it was great that he was able to get the monkey off of his back, which he said several times in his post-fight interview. For some reason, that phrase kept coming up over and over again. And then I last note that I have about Kamaru in the post-fight was that Kamaru's tough talk always sounds like the young kid who's hanging out with the older kids and has to be overly tough so that he can show the older kids that he can hang too. He's always like, yeah, I'm the man. I'm the man.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we know, Kamaru, you're the man.
Yeah,
So,
no, that's actually pretty funny. Yeah, no, Kamaru Usman, I would love to see somewhat of a title run if it's possible, but that the aspirations that he laid out are a little far-fetched for what we see. I mean, you don't necessarily have I'm trying to think of the way to say it. Like you're not somebody with the star power that can call the shots to go get a title shot and then double champ. So, like Kamaru Usman, Rose Namajunas just made more money than you on this card. So I think I don't know. You might want to work on one belt, and then we'll see. We'll see where we go from there.
absolutely. But the fact is that he deserves to be able to do that.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
I think he should be one of the people. We got fucking Michael Chiesa being able to fight until he's 90, but Kamaru Usman can't say I want one more title shot after I win two more fights or something. Like, dude, he's one of the greatest of all time. Like it's if you are in the position where you've put the sport in a different playing field, and I know Kamaru Usman, again, I already said that he's not the biggest name and he's not going to be able to pull these shots, but he should be able to because what he's done for the sport, who he was for the sport, I think is pretty crucial, and he should be able to have a title shot if he wants here soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depending on who's there, I mean, I would obviously love to see it. If it's somebody, if fucking Islam wins it, Kamara, go for it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a good point to acknowledge that, like, Kamaru Usman has spanned generations in
Mhm.
this game now. I mean, like, he has been there through the ushering in of a new generation of the top 10. So it's like he is the kind of the holdout in that way. If he's able to still do this, then yeah, that you give that guy the respect that he deserves, and yeah, maybe one more win in a title shot. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, I mean, we have always said that this division is very stacked, very Wild West things going on, but there's a lot of injuries that go on. There's a lot of different keys that can be in place. And you have to remember, Kamaru Usman will take a fight on days' notice against a scary, scary dude. So I don't think it's out of the realm to see anything. I don't know. This dude's got it. Let me think. So I wanted to double check. Yeah, he's fifth ranked. Anything. Oh fuck. He needs to jump over Leon. The rankings need to be updated. Either way. Um, I think it's possible. I think it's
Yeah,
possible.
I think I absolutely do. And apparently those knees are indeed holding up. So, maybe that's been a little overblown, it seems.
Hmm. Eh, I think they still probably hurt him. Knee
Y-
stuff. I mean, being an athlete and expecting your joints not to fucking hurt. Like, I don't know. It probably hurts a lot.
Yeah,
So,
no, I agree. There's definitely something there. But either way, I mean, if they're good enough and he's doing this, then give the guy what he wants.
yeah.
All right, so that is UFC Fight Night Usman versus Buckley. After talking it through, Chase, your final thoughts?
It wasn't as good as I remember. I actually don't even think I had a great time, like, like, some of the fights, yes, were awesome, but, like, there was a stretch, those 6 fights, even the co-main was alright, but then the main event, this wasn't the greatest card, but it was definitely a card that we'll remember because of some stupid performances.
And some goofiness on top of
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I agree. Definitely among the lower caliber, I would say, in recent memory, but a couple of good performances stand out. Got to keep Jose Ochoa in mind for sure.
Oh, yeah, and, of course, Malcolm Wellmaker.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. So it's like we're saying. I mean, standout performances. A couple of things to take away that are positive.
Yeah, and some that are negative. Bellato should be cut.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what ends up happening with all of that. But before that ends up coming to fruition, we've got coming up this week UFC Baku in Azerbaijan. First time going over to Azerbaijan, and the event is Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. So before we get into these fights, I did hear an interesting question, and I don't, we don't get political on this show very often, and we're going to not do that now. But is there any concern, being that there has been some turmoil in Iran, which is a neighbor of Azerbaijan, about this event being safe? I mean, there's some interesting things going on in that region of the world, and this event's not taking place too far from him.
I agree. It's definitely not the ideal location, and I think somebody made a good point because I don't know what politics do and why people, obviously you don't want to be going to a country if there's things going on, but like people do have to fly into these places, and it's like, well, they don't want to be flying near the places that are, doing things like this.
Right.
So, but in my opinion, I think everybody that's on this card, they've been here for weeks. I think they've been here for a week or two and they're already there and there's no backing out now. Like it's 1 week from the card. Like we've already flown here. It's not, it's not ideal to fly in. Yeah. It's probably not ideal to fly out either. So it's just, you got to go for it now. So
Yeah, I just hope that all works out, without any hitches there. So,
yeah.
just wanted to acknowledge that because of what's going on. But either way, as far as fights go, Jamal Hill, Khalil Roundtree, what are you thinking in this one?
Jamal Hill, I know a lot of people don't agree with me when I say this, but in his last performance against Yuri, I think Jamal Hill made me like actually see like what his skill set is and that there is some potential there. Like he is dangerous and he did not necessarily put Yuri on the level that Yuri put him, but like I at least in that fight thought, oh man, if Yuri does something really goofy, like Jamal might be able to catch him. And if he does, it's questionable what happened. So I think the danger element has risen for Jamal Hill, in my opinion. But Khalil Roundtree, I mean, this dude's a fucking animal, guys. What can you say? This dude, he's got permanent scar damage from Alex Pereira, and he's ready to go fucking to war with him again, probably. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, Khalil Roundtree showed such a tremendous. I take it even a step back. I was going to say he showed tremendous improvement in his fight with Pereira, but I think that you take it even farther back. He has shown improvement time over time at this point. Like he is one of those guys, because I had a lot of different opinions about him. Like you can go back to even earlier episodes of this very show where I was saying like there's just a weird cloud that hangs around him. I think that my thoughts have changed on him, and a lot of it has been just watching him progress up, because I was a vocal opponent of him getting that shot against Alex Pereira. I thought that
Mhm.
it was a huge jump from ranking wise. I think he was like 10 or 11 or something like that. It was or maybe 7. It was just a very large leap that he was going over a lot of different people to get that shot, and I was like, there's no way that this guy deserves it. He went out there and put on a performance that was memorable and impressive against a killer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Khalil Roundtree has really leveled up and rounded out his game in a way that is very impressive. And I think that he is a dude who is going to fight until there is nothing left in the tank. And Jamal is one of those guys too, though. Like they're cut from a similar cloth in that way. Jamal's a tough guy. Like
Mhm.
he really is. He's going to fight until the end also. So this is going to be like they have the odds are very close in this fight. I think that's warranted. I'm going to give a slight edge to Khalil just off of what my gut is telling me, but it would not in the slightest surprise me if Jamal is able to pull this off.
Yeah, Vegas is pretty unsure. I think the line will be even by the time this fight starts. I would like to get Khalil at that money though.
Yeah, yeah. If you're gonna go with Khalil, I would probably get it in early, if you're thinking that the line's going to close up and it becomes a straight pick 'em, then maybe you wait a little bit. But I would think that it dividing even farther is only going to be if a massive amount of money starts coming in on Jamal at that price, because any plus money in this fight is there's definitely value there, I would say.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when the lines are close. It's really, I know it is a pick 'em kind of deal, but like it really does feel like, if you know your shit, you can make the right call and make some money on these. So,
Yeah, I mean, to me, the safe play is probably just no distance. I mean, I
yeah.
think that somebody is going out in this fight.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. So well, I mean, I guess did you say final call? You going
I'm
with
taking Khalil.
Sagan Khalil? All right, there we go. All right, moving on to the co-main, Rafael Fiziev coming back again against Ignacio Bahamondes. I love this fight. I think that this is a really, really fun potential matchup in the making here. It's clash of styles. Styles makes fights kind of situation here.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate for Fiziev because I do really like him and I think he's very interesting. He has a pretty unique style and I like the way that he fights. And he is a dog. It's unfortunate that this is a matchup where he has so many disadvantages that he's going to have to overcome. And we already saw him with Justin Gaethje, someone who's kind of similar in size, and it is a different style in the striking, but he still was not able to overcome that. And Justin Gaethje is obviously a high level player, but he's someone on the way out. You would expect somebody who's going to be a top level guy to be able to get past Justin Gaethje at this point in his career. Ignacio Bahamondes, he's got size, he's got skill, he's got speed. This is just a tough one to take Fiziev, and I really like Fiziev, but I think the line being close on this again. I mean, if you know your shit, you should be able to catch the momentum that's with Ignacio here.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I mean, seeing Fiziev have Justin Gaethje sit on his head in
Mhm.
that fight is exactly why I have to go with Ignacio on this one. I mean, because really, like when it comes to the striking, Fiziev probably will be able to hold his own with the striking that Ignacio brings to the table. But Ignacio has the fight IQ to recognize when the strategy change is necessary. And once this thing goes to the ground, like he is so sharp on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't think that Fiziev's going to have the answers there.
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't really know if there's too much more to say. I just think it's unfortunate because I do like Fiziev, and I wish there was a performance that I could see him winning in the future right now.
Yeah, same. I mean, I agree 100% on that as well. I mean, Fiziev is a fun fighter to watch. He's definitely a dude who will put it all on the line. I mean, those images of him from the first Gaethje fight will always stick in my mind. The
Mhm.
eye swollen shut and just all kinds of gore. But yeah, this is just an unfortunate stylistic clash that I just don't think he's going to be able to overcome, unfortunately.
I think he jumped at the opportunity to co-main in Azerbaijan, and
Yeah.
the opportunity, they were like, "Well, we got this guy." And obviously, as a great fighter, you don't want to take somebody who you can beat. I mean, that's just not. You want to have a step up in competition. You want to have something to prove. You want to have a reason to go out there and win a fight. I just don't think this one is the one for Fiziev.
Yeah, same. All right. Well, moving down the line, Curtis
Oh,
Blades
shit.
versus Rizvan Kuniev. Finally, the fight that they have been wanting to make for what feels like a decade is finally here. Do you think it's actually going to happen this time?
I think something wonky is gonna happen, just like with the Bellato and Paul Craig. I'm gonna go for draw, no contest, or DQ. I'm gonna say that's what's gonna happen here.
Galaxy brain if it does. But all things being equal and it being an actual legitimate fight, what are you thinking?
God, I don't know. I feel like I should have seen this fight happen 3 times already because I get on Google to look at the fights and they keep showing it, and I honestly just don't even care anymore. Can Kunaev probably win so we can stop seeing Curtis Blades pop up on here next to him? Like, ugh.
I mean, all right, but let's say it was the first time that it was announced.
Okay, first time it
Skill
was
for skill,
announced.
you know?
Skill for skill. Okay, Curtis Blades does have the wrestling. He is the greatest heavyweight wrestler in the UFC division.
Even better than Gilton. Well, yeah, I mean, he beat Gilton that with the
Yeah,
elbows.
buddy. Either
Okay,
way,
all
either
right,
way,
all right.
either way. So statistically, either way, Curtis Blades has a lot of takedowns. He does get a lot of people down. He does rack up control time. I would not be surprised if he lays on Kunaya for 1 round or 2. These are heavyweights. Curtis Blades is not necessarily one of those heavyweights that is slobby where he gets tired after 2 seconds. Because granted, he is a wrestler, he can do that for a whole fight. Kunaev, we are yet to see if he's the type of slob that gets tired after 2 striking encounters. But Curtis Blades should be able to hold his own on the feet and get a takedown. I mean, this dude's 33. It's not like he's some young up and coming prospect. This is somebody who's at the same career level as Curtis Blades. He just hasn't experienced it at the highest level. So I think Curtis Blades should take this one.
Yeah, I would expect this to be an extremely grindy, clinchy, maybe a little bit of ground stuff, but really more clinching on the cage kind of affair. I think these guys are going to be hugging a whole hell of a lot because
Yeah,
Curtis Blades might be a great wrestler at heavyweight, but he is lacking in the finishes department and when it comes to wrestling. I mean, I think that he still does not have a submission win in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. He might have one,
yeah,
but either
probably.
yeah, but either way, I mean, that should tell you like what level that you're coming at when it comes to like the actual effectiveness of the ground game.
No
That he
subs, never been subbed.
yeah.
Just throw
So
that out there.
okay, so there you go. So yeah, I mean, Rizvan, a little bit newer to the organization, but not super young, and I mean, maybe hungrier because he is new, but I think veteran experience should win out in this thing. I mean,
Yep,
that's
I agree. This
yeah.
is a guy from the Contender Series jumping up to somebody who just fought for the interim belt last fight, 2 fights ago, whatever it was. So I don't know. I think it's cut and dry. Curtis Blade should get this done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be a very, very surprising turn of events if Kuniev can leapfrog that far up the rankings off of one fight,
Yeah, 100%.
All right, moving down. Tofik Musayev versus Miktabek Orlabai. Who is Tofik Musayev
We
with
we
no
will talk
picture?
we will talk about another fight that is similar to this, but this is absolutely free money. Miktabek is only like a minus 150 in this fight. And this is an absolute jobber versus Miktabek, who is the absolute Chad of the division. Like this dude is an animal. Like, and
Goated.
he's just so good. I don't even have to explain it too much because when you see him, you'll know how different he is. Like he is just built different. You know why? Because he was made back in the Stone Age.
That's
And I
right.
and just giving him somebody from Azerbaijan just to put on a performance where he'll probably lose is a little unfortunate. But I'm ready to see Miktabek, dude. I love this guy. One of my favorite prospects. I cannot lie. Shout out
I mean,
Kyrgyzstan.
yeah, yeah, him versus Rombechki will always go down as one of the best fights of the year for last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, the Miktabek Orlabai, not only a tough customer, but a skilled customer on top of it. I mean, the dude really is pretty talented, all things considered, going up against like you said, I mean, essentially a jobber. I mean, the dude, if he's fought in the UFC, I
He's from
certainly
Bellator 2 fights
oh,
ago.
all
So
right. Then yeah, come on, man. Give me a break. I just go back to the last episode if you want to hear my thoughts on people coming into the organization from other ones. Yeah, Orlabai all day long. And if that line is as close as you're saying that it is, him at like a minus 150 or something, throw
yeah.
every dollar that you have on it.
Oh, trust me, the numbers that I'm seeing are speaking to me more than they were last Saturday. So I'm seeing a lot of minus ones and twos, and I'm ready to go.
Feel you on that. Well, yeah, and Orlabai should definitely be like the linchpin of several of your parlays if that's the case.
There's another one that we'll talk about, and I think it's the perfect parlay piece for Miktabek, but we'll continue down the line.
All right. Well, slam dunk for Orlabai on that
Yes.
fight. Going on here to the next one, Nazim Sadikov versus Nicholas Mata. I mean, Sadikov is a dude who I've been a fan of for quite some time. Glad to see him back. And Mata, I mean, I don't. There's really not that much there based on what we've seen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Mata's just a guy who's gonna go out there and be able to take a beating. He's not somebody that's gonna get finished. I do not believe that these guys will have the crazy war that maybe some people are expecting. It should just be a distance fight where Sadikov is just butchering him from the outside because Mata's just gonna walk up with a high guard and just try to walk him down. Mata's also just gonna lose by unanimous decision, is what I'm gonna say is happening here.
I think Sadikov has some good kicks, if I'm not mistaken. He might be
Got
able.
that he got the question mark kick against Bonfim.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So, potentially keep an eye out for something like that to possibly happen. I mean, Mata being a tough chin might negate that, but yeah, I in theory the game planning or the way that fight plays out that you laid out probably is correct. I mean, Sadikov is really, really good at distance management and range striking. So if Mata maybe is able to close distance and take him to the ground, maybe there's something there, but I don't even think he's got ground game like that.
Well, I think no, he's a knockout guy, but I think the kicks will be negated. He's not going to be able to. They're not going to be standing in front of each other idle, where they can make their moves and set up. And I don't think that question mark kick or even the high kick. I don't think it'll be an option for the finishing sequence, at least, because Mata's going to be walking him down. It's going to be harder to be walking backwards and then throw the kick. He's going to be on the outside, evading left and right and trying to. I want to say he's going to get the angle and try to stick him with a 1-2. That's the way that I'm seeing this play out. I'm just kind of big brained right now, though.
I feel you. I mean, yeah. So final decision is Sadikov.
Sadikov, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, keeping it moving here. Muhammad Naimov going up against the Contender Series GOAT Bogdan Grad. Good to see him back. What are you thinking on this one?
That they need to get a picture that's not black and white for him.
True that.
That is first off. Second, I unfortunately think he'll probably lose this one. I think so. I think the grappling will be too much unless we magically see Bogdan Grad pull out like a submission win, which I think is possible because I'm just counting it out completely. Like maybe he just has grappling and he reverses the position and chokes him out. I don't know. That's big brain me talking. But I think regular me should assume that Naimov's going to just wrestle fuck him and grapple him.
You don't think that Bogdan Grad can strike his way through and get it done on the feet?
He's a grinder. He's not really somebody that's going to pick a shot on the feet and, knock you down and then try to get it. Like he's going to have to you're going to have to really grind to get a finish out of Bogdan Grad. It's going to have to get real gritty for him, I think. Like that's what's going to be the best form of him is when he knows when the going gets tough and he's just got to throw it at the wall. Like I think that's the best version of him.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But if there is anybody who will grind out a victory like no other, like Grad will do that. He is a grinder, but he is a committed grinder. Like this dude really that's what stuck out to me on the Contender Series performance and then in his victory that he got in the organization. This dude really goes out there and is like he will force a win to happen. So there is potential, I think, for that to be the case. Naimov, he's good. He's definitely like right now. I mean, based on what I've seen, it's like I put him in the good, not great category. But a win over a guy like Grad would definitely speak volumes to me.
Yeah, so we'll definitely see. It is on the main card, so obviously Dana White is knowing that this should be a gritty, grindy kind of war, especially when what we saw with Bogdan Grad in his debut is even when he's getting grappled, he's able to make a way out of it and actually go for the finish. I think what we're expecting from this is to have that on edge feeling. It's like anytime Naimov is going to grapple him, there's that split moment that Bogdan Grad could just burst out and just flip and get on top. I mean, you got to remember, these are featherweights. These aren't, the smallest of the guys, but we can still see some decent scrambles when it comes to this division.
Yeah, for sure. Naimov taking the win does not scream like out of like the realm of reality kind of thing, but I wouldn't count Grad completely out. I think as far as the dogs I've currently seen on this card so far, like he would be among the higher ranked dogs to me.
I would say Naimov's going to win. It's going to be by decision. I just don't know if I think he's going to get all three judges or if it'll be a split. I feel like it might be a split because some people are going to be mad that Bogdan Grad didn't steal it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could see that being the case. So, all right, Naimov taking the win doesn't sound too wrong to me, at least in the moment. All right, moving on to Seokyoung Ko versus Oban Elliott. This fight went through several permutations and got rescheduled here. So this is kind of anticipated based on the fact that we were supposed to see both these guys fight different people in the past, and now they're fighting each other.
Yeah, these are both decision merchants. Not really anything too exciting.
Oban Elliott, didn't you just get a knockout?
He's got one knockout in the organization.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So you don't think he's going to be able to do it against Seokyoung Ho?
Probably not. I mean, he's riding off of a knockout. People are going to be expecting like, oh, Oban's finally figured it out. He's not pillow fisted anymore. He'll really sit down and throw. But like, he's a counter striker. He plays the outside. He got a knockout and it was nice, but it was also perfect placement of a dude's face right where his fucking hands are. I don't know too much about Seokyoung Ko, but Oban Elliott, I do know he loves his decisions, so I might have to just ride with this with the numbers on this one.
So you're taking him by decision?
By decision, yeah.
Yeah, I
Point
mean,
strike him all the way to the fucking bell.
true. Oban Elliott, a product of the Contender Series. Just coming off of the Contender Series. It's always very difficult to massively back anybody coming in directly from the Contender Series, right? Because I don't think he hasn't had a fight in the organization yet. I'm pretty
No, I
sure.
think that yeah, this is should be his debut.
Yeah. So for that reason alone, I will side with Elliott. And I mean, potentially it could be a banger. I'm hoping that that's the case. I mean, if both these guys can come out here and power strike a little bit, that make it something interesting.
It is the featured bout, so you would hope that they have something good in store for us, that they're expecting some real firefights. What I actually think that they're probably riding on the hype of that both of these dudes pulled out of their fights and they were willing to like they want to fight each other. Like I'll fight the dude that just pulled out. Like that's how bad I want to be in the cage. That's how bad I want to put a performance on. So maybe they're expecting some good things considering that these are two dudes that weren't really supposed to fight each other, but then they do want to fight each other. So that could maybe something comes of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be clear, neither of them pulled out of their fight. There was like visa issues and other extenuating circumstances that stopped those fights from happening. But yeah, I understand the point though, is that
Yeah.
these guys are both actively wanting to fight. Oban Elliott is trying to make himself into a bit of a character. He's got the whole WWE persona thing that he likes to try to pull off. And
Mhm.
I mean, whether it's working or not, that's up to you to decide. But he's trying to become a bit more of a name. So I think he wants to stay active. And a win like this over a guy coming in fresh off the Contender Series doesn't scream to me as something that's outside the realm of possibility either. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think Oban Elliott getting the job done sounds correct to me, at least on paper.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, Ismail Nardiev versus Jun Young Park, the Iron Turtle. What are you thinking here?
I think the Iron Turtle. I had a lot of hope for him because he does have like that Mick to Beck kind of interesting aura about him. I think I bought into the hype a little too early, or maybe actually I think a little too late is probably the better reasoning because I just don't think I see it. I don't think I see Mr. Park. I don't think I see the Iron Turtle being that necessarily great. Now, Nurdiev, however you say the last name, I apologize. He is somebody that I do remember as like being interesting. Like I remember saying, put money on Ishmael. He's got the biblical name. You can't go wrong with it. But he came out here and actually made it more than just him being the guy with the biblical name. Like he's just actually a pretty decent striker. He's pretty young, not necessarily the most active. Again, coming from Morocco, another small nation, I think this dude's pretty decent. I don't know in the striking department, he should win. But if Mr. Park here decides to grapple, then he should have the advantage. But I don't know. This one's really tough for me, I think.
Park is deceptively good, I would
Mhm.
say. Like he's one of those guys, appearance wise, obviously that plays a big factor in how people perceive him because he is the most unassuming human being that you could ever imagine. This guy looks like he should be, a librarian.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, so this is definitely not the dude that you see and you're like, oh man, I wouldn't want to be in a dark alley with that guy. But that being said, he's one of those guys that like will grind out fights and find ways to win. Like it's like every time he wins, it's like, damn, wow, he really did just win. And he
Yeah.
does that somewhat consistently. So it's like it's kind of crazy that like every time I feel like he's counted out a lot for obvious reasons. And like even in his victories, it's never like, damn, the turtle done did it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're never like, God, that was the shit right there. It's always like, I mean, he somehow found a way to win. He got that victory.
Mhm.
So for that reason, I will tentatively back him just because I feel like he's like MacGyver out there. He'll figure out tie a couple of ropes together and figure out some way to make it all come together and win.
Yeah.
Nardiev, I do remember us having a conversation about him at some point and being like, yeah, there probably is something there. But again, this just is just like savvy veteran territory with Park, and my gut will always gravitate towards that, I think.
Yeah, I actually did just notice that Ishmael does have some submission wins. So I think, in my opinion, if the striking is from what I believe it is, I think Ishmael has the striking advantage. And if he does have some submission wins, he does have that in his back pocket. I think I like this dog a lot. I'm not going to say I'm going to put money on it because there's some other plays that I think are a lot better. This one is not the worst you could have, though.
Yeah, no, that doesn't surprise me if that is the case, that he's got submission game, because Park's striking is not really great. I mean, it's like technically passable. It's technically
Mhm.
serviceable, but it's not like you're ever worried about him being a huge power threat or anything when it comes to the
Yeah.
hand. So
He's got
yeah,
the drunken master thing.
yeah, to an extent, I would say so. And he's a bigger guy, a bulkier kind of guy. So middleweight, both sort of lumbering dudes. I don't know. Nardiev looks like a little bit trimmer, at least in his picture there. I think I recall him being pretty agile. So he might be able to move around a little bit better and stay out of the way of what Park is trying to initiate. So maybe there is some ground game potential for him.
Ishmael has really good kicks. I think that's the last thing that I'll note. Very good, fast, sneaky, um, and yeah, I think that should be a big component if he's gonna win this fight. He should kick the shit out of the Iron Turtle.
There you go. So yeah, I mean, definitely not the worst dog if you do want to side with Nardiev on this one. I just think that the experience level should win out for Park. That's at least my thought
Yeah,
process.
I hear you.
All right, Daria Zalesniakova coming in against the British cutie pie Melissa Mullins. I know that she is your girl. What are you thinking?
Oh, I mean, this is easy. This is a ham-fisted win for Miss Melissa Mullins. I'm very happy that they're going to keep giving her bums for her to beat. Miss Zalesniakovia is somebody who lost to Eileen Perez by submission. Remember, she got the head and arm choke while in full mount, which normally doesn't happen, but that's just how it goes. So Daria is not necessarily the best. Melissa Mullins, I do follow her on Instagram. She is always working on her BJJ. I would not be surprised if she pulls out a submission win right here, guys. And I'm putting that on my life. So
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you on that. I mean, Zalesniakova, I believe she was the one who, well, first of all, she got twerked on after that loss to
yeah,
Eileen, which was unfortunate for her in that regard. But then she was also the one that was going over and blaming her husband for her loss,
yep.
right? I mean,
No,
right?
that was Dudakova.
Oh, sorry. Okay, my mistake. Take that back. Then all
That's
right.
the other Shevchenko clone. This is the
Sure.
third generation down.
Yeah, got you. Okay, well, all right, wrong on that one. But either way, I mean, Zalesniakova, she's 9-2, so it's not like it would be impossible for her to make improvements and get herself to a caliber that could be a winner. But Melissa Mullins has shown pretty well that she is of a quality stock, and if she's continuously improving the game, then yeah, I'm with it. Submission win sounds fine to me.
You know what? I actually want to disagree with you for a second because you want to talk about Melissa Mullins and how that she's proven herself to be a valuable player. I think that's incorrect. If you go back one fight ago, she just got finished by Nora Cornell. Am I wrong? I think
Uh, 2 fights ago, no?
I
Was it
think it
not
was.
one
I
before that?
I think she just came back. Yeah, so one fight ago was Nora Cornell, and then this last fight she got a knockout in the second round against somebody who's on this card. We'll talk about later. So somebody who had, this is somebody who not necessarily has a lot of stock, in my opinion. I think she has the talent, and I think she has, I think she has the aura to go ahead and be somebody that's top of the level. But I don't think as of right now she's proven that she has the skill set to compete yet. I think we got to see it to believe it and we got to continue to see it. Like, yeah, I've said this before. English women, they finish, they get knockouts. The statistics are there. There's only been like 4 English women in the UFC and like 2 of them have knockouts. The statistics are with me on this. Melissa Mullins is somebody that can get a finish. She does not have any submission victories, but I promise you, she is always working on the BJJ. This is somebody who is not a good submission defensive person. Once we get this to the mat, I'm telling you, we are going to sink in something nasty on this girl.
Well, I think that where my thought process is with Mullins is that I saw her earlier. I think I saw her debut, and I remember noting in my mind at the time, I was like, "This is a tough chick. Like she
Mhm.
has a good toughness about her." Now losing to Nora Cornell, I mean, that doesn't really drop the stock all that much to me because Nora is also pretty tough. I mean, she grinded out a victory, even though I think it was a close one in her last one, if I'm not mistaken. Like we kind of were all like,
No, she
yeah.
got a submission win.
Oh, Nora
She
did?
got the ninja choke. Yep.
Oh shit! Was that her last one? Jesus. Okay, maybe
Yep.
my timelines are a little mistaken with these ladies, but either way, I mean, Nora is proving herself to be a higher caliber as well. So it's like I don't think that the loss ages poorly, and I think if the toughness is still there, Zalesniakova never has screamed to me as someone who is like tough. You know what I mean? Like, she definitely is not like, man, she's going to go out there and put everything she has into it, get herself all bloodied up and come out of this thing looking like she went through a car wreck. It's like, she's going to try to be technical. She's, more of a controlled fighter, going to try to be very grapple heavy. And I think that tough for tough, Mullins will be able to take her that way. So submission, perhaps. I don't know about all that part of it, but if you're feeling that strongly about it, I'll go along for the ride.
Yeah, I just hope this ages very, very well. For the first submission win of her career, and if I go ahead and call it right here, I'm gonna feel pretty good about myself, because after all, this is wifey, guys. I mean, I can't really put it to you any other way. I know her like the back of my hand.
So. Same. Shout out to my wifey, Shauna Bannon.
True.
All right, moving on. Irina Alekseeva versus Claudia Segula. This fight is very ridiculous. Why is it happening?
I remember this Irina girl. Oh, okay. Yeah, she sucks. Okay. Oh, yeah, she lost to Melissa. Both of these women lost to Melissa Mullins in their last fight. I would just like to make that note.
Segula is one of the worst fighters I can recall ever seeing.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mean to be rude by saying that, but I recall us talking about her on this show and me saying almost that exact same thing. She is among the worst fighters I had ever seen.
Yeah, I'm not too particularly sure about the skill set or who's going to win this one, so I really could care less. But I would like to make a note. If you've ever seen Ed, and Eddie, right?
Yes.
The Kanker sisters.
Mm-hmm.
That is what this Irina girl looks like. She looks straight out of Ed, and Eddie, like she lives in the trailer park right around the corner and just hates the fucking teenage kids. Like, I don't know. It's like I want to go ahead and say she has aura for that reason. I want to go ahead and say she's going to win.
I mean, she's rocking a little bit of a high top fade. Maybe her and Phil Rowe go to the same barber. I mean, she does look tough. I'm
gotta go shake that Russian guy's hand for getting that barber.
I'm with it on that respect. Yeah, I mean, I remember Alekseeva not being super impressive. I think it might have been that fight I was just talking about with Mullins that I was like, yeah, this is where I thought Mullins like looked tough, So it's like, if that's the case there, and as I said, Claudia Segula, like I just recall thinking that she just looked atrocious in her last fight. And, it's really no disrespect to her as a human being, but when it comes to fighting, like all that other shit goes out the window. So I think that Alekseeva getting the win here is pretty much slam dunk.
I would be remiss if I did not bring it up. And it's just because I always have to speak my mind. Claudia Segula is also a member of the Botox Club, or whatever the fuck, collagen, whatever they do to get them lip injections. She's a part of it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I think that we had talked about that as well, that she, she's, I mean, whatever you want to say about her attractiveness, she's certainly someone who puts some effort into her appearance to an extent. None of that matters when it comes to getting punched in the face, except perhaps busting one of those collagen lips open. So we'll see if that happens.
True. All right. Next.
But yeah, I mean, that's all that there is.
Yeah, Irina, I'll take her. Sure.
Yeah. Trust on that. Tagir Ulanbekov being underneath this is ridiculous, but Tagir Ulanbekov versus Azamat Maxim, how this is lower on the card is insane to me. But what are you thinking here?
You don't need to worry about where it's at, because this is the perfect prelim part. You got to take Tagir and Miktabek. It'll give you plus money. Just put whatever you can on it, and then by the main card you have plenty of time to just fuck around. I'm telling you, Tagir and Miktabek, and I'm even thinking, as I look at it a little more, the person that comes after this will probably end up on the slip as well. But for this fight right here, Tagir Ulanbekov he's a proven veteran at this point. He knows how to win fights. He's massive for the weight class. He's gonna go out here and get this fucking W.
I mean, Azat is the dude. He just got a win? No.
This is the dude. He's not even from he is in the organization. Sorry, he lost to Charles Johnson apparently.
Right. Yeah. I think he had lost to Charles Johnson. Did he not just come? Is he not coming off a win?
No. This was February. Okay. This was February 3rd of 2024. So this has been a whole year.
Then yeah, okay. Then I think I'm mistaking him for another dude from Kazakhstan. But yeah, then Tagir being a dude who's been around for quite some time and has proven that he has win potential. Him being a heavy favorite in this fight does not surprise me in the slightest. So probably a nice little layup for a regionally favorable fighter in
Mhm.
this one, starting things off on a good foot in that regard for the event, I would think is the reason that this is what it is. And yeah, Tagir, I like that parlay. I think that that's a very safe parlay. Put Alexiva on that too. Make that a 3-piece. I'm telling you that the Segula is atrocious. So just yeah, that sounds like a winning parlay in my opinion. Market, yeah,
Yeah.
Tagir all day.
Hell yeah. And then this next fight,
Yeah.
this is the last leg, well, the first leg of the parlay.
All right.
Obviously, my fucking guy. Go
Yeah.
ahead, introduce him.
Yeah, Hamdi Abdel Wahab versus Mohammed Usman. I mean, Hamdi's becoming, the next Shamil with the aura that he is creating for himself as a big hulking heavyweight wrestler who actually is pretty agile when it comes to the wrestling. So
I agree.
yeah, the Egyptian juice box as he once was, but is no longer. He is no longer juicing people. We know this for a fact. He said, "Thank you, Hunter Campbell, for helping me work my way through, my juicing days or whatever." He was very thankful that the organization allowed him to get clean, and he's back without the juice, still able to be pretty active on the ground, and like I said, pretty light on his feet as far as wrestling goes.
I have said it. You've heard me say it before. I think Hamdi is going to emerge as one of the better heavyweight wrestlers if he hones in on the skills that I saw that he had in the first fight. Now, if he comes out here and decides to just strike for 3 rounds, he'll probably beat Muhammad Usman because that dude sucks. But if I would really love to see him wrestle with Muhammad. I would really love to just because this is the perfect opportunity where if he does it for a lengthy amount of time, I know he's heavyweight and it's going to be hard for him to do it for 3 rounds, but if he's able to just showcase that one little moment where he took him down in a headlock, transitioned to his back, nobody else is going to be able to do that better than him at the heavyweight division. I think if he can showcase that he is able to scramble around and float on positions like I've seen him do for a big dude, I was pretty fucking surprised. And I think he can come out here and do another surprising effort. And at minus 175, I'm telling you, Hamdi, Tajir, Miktabek, I think that's what I got to go with. And that'll be such good money.
Yeah, I mean, Muhammad Usman has proven to be just the biggest dud at heavyweight, I would say. I mean, like this guy he's got all of the physique and the frame and everything that you would outwardly think would be a great heavyweight, and has consistently sucked.
Yes.
This is younger brother syndrome as far as when it goes, to fighters and their siblings. Kamaru got all of the fighting genes. Mo did not get any of them. So,
Yep.
Hamdi being able to win this fight, I think that you're right about if Hamdi can wrestle him, it's going to look great in the highlights when he's, got this huge guy that he's able to toss around and move all over the place. I think that is going to look good optically to people. And, just Mo Usman has just proven himself to not be of the UFC caliber. I think
Yeah.
that's I'm sad to say, but
Nepotism.
yeah, a little bit of nepotism is probably accurate in that regard. Just time and time again, not winning his fights, and and going out in really kind of a lackluster fashion. So there's a reason that Mo Usman has been in the organization this long and still does not have a picture on ESPN.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I would very strongly agree with that. I think that's a very crucial point, and I actually like that thought process. If you are decent, you would have a picture, and if you are godly, your picture is black and white, like Bogdangrad. So,
Exactly. So there you go. Good dog Bogdangrad, bad dog Muhammad Usman.
yep.
So I mean, I think that pretty well takes it through this card. Of course, myself and Chase will be watching this thing live. You can watch it along with either of us individually. I will possibly be with the Vitz King. Don't know about that just yet, but we will see. That is at youtube.com/@Yama Show. And Chase, I know that you can tell them where they can find you.
They will obviously find me having fun on Saturdays every time the UFC has an event going on youtube.com/@CPSmalls. And on Twitter, you can find me having a great time talking about how much Bellotto needs to be cut from the organization on x.com/@CreativePartin, PARTIN.
I am on Instagram and on Twitter at Yama Show on both of those. Facebook, I have conceded, and it is now Yama Show 1 on Facebook. So if you want to try to find me on Facebook, Yama Show #1 thereafter. We'll see if we can figure out how to actually get Yama Show back. But for right now, I've given up on this battle with these absolute jerk offs.
And don't forget to stay tuned for Yama Show 2. That'll be coming out very soon after when Yama Show 1 gets reported again.
You know, God, it's so likely to happen that it's not even funny. But either way, follow along on all of those places. We will be back. The review of episode 4 of The Cage that myself and Mr. Parton right here just did is out in video form on the Yama channel right now. Go over there, check it out, give it a like if you enjoy it. We will be doing episode 5 very soon, and then the Cyril Gahn KO movie. So we've got a lot of entertainment to be viewing coming up here over the next couple of weeks. Check out all of that. Hopefully some other new content coming out for you on the channel this week if I can get around to it. Time is somewhat short currently, but I'm trying my best. So either way, have a great rest of your night, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. And until we see you next time, fight on.
Change.